with Chris Kirkwood, Kirk D's, taking y'all straight up the lock tonight. Of course, we yield to Crunch Time. Crunch Time, you got the 18 there, chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. You have Dave Potts, two-time winner Cheeseisgood, as well as Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat. Kirkwood, you said to me right before we went on air, right before we hit the button. I guess producer Steve hits the button technically. So I got a bone to pick with you. I don't know if that was a little bit of a cliffhanger, but welcome to the show. Happy Friday. Good to have you on. And what we already had a little bit of a scrum pre-show arguing over something that was complete nonsense. But yeah, how are you? How are you doing these days?
Doing fine. I just, I like to watch GrindersLive every day when I have it in the background in crunch time too, when I'm building my lineups. And you just couldn't help yourself with Roth, trying to stir up the pot about the cease and desist letter yesterday from Roth, which he had to deny because legally he's not allowed to say anything about that. But yeah, it's you just can't help yourself sometimes, Dean. You're always trying to stir the pot.
Well, your weather model, your theoretical weather model has been in, I guess it's been in beta for 17 years, give or take now. And he wasn't even aware it existed. So I had to give him more details.
Do you really believe that? Do you believe that?
Well, I don't believe the weather model, your weather model even exists, to be honest, if you want to get all technical. But
I mean, it doesn't matter what you think. So, but it exists.
Well, you asked me the question. If you don't want to know what I think, don't ask me the question.
It exists. I mean, it's a fact.
Is it like Blender's Venom Bombs, and his Venom Bombs are just directly stolen from the bat? Basically, the ones people that are most likely to homer. Are you plagiarizing somebody else's weather model? I don't want to name names or anything, but or is it something
crazy? No, I've had my own. I've been preaching dew point before anyone even heard about dew point. This has been in the makes for a long time. And as far as you have some nerve to talk about plagiarism when you literally recite Cheese's article every single day on this show.
What? I literally recite it.
Yes.
All right. Everybody turn to page 1.
It's why you and everyone else didn't rank Charlie Morton the other day when he was an obvious play.
So
because
the thing is,
you were following his lead.
When I do, sometimes when possible, I'll do my rankings before I even go to sleep. When it's sometimes you can, and then the next day I'll go back and refine it. But I can't remember if I did it that night. But I will go against Dave. It's not comfortable to go against Dave, but I'll go against Dave as far as rankings. And we both did rankings today. Actually, all three of us did rankings today. And I'm sure there's some differences amongst the three of us. Well, you know what? I did plagiarize him. I put Jacob deGrom first. So you're right. You got me.
No, it's. I catch things daily. If you want me to keep a log, I'll keep a log. But
are you gonna? Is that log going to be in beta too, or is that going to be officially?
No, I'll keep it, and I'll. We can do a review at the beginning of every show we do, if you want. If you want to go down this road.
Yeah. No. I mean, sure. Why not?
All right. Let's do it.
Thank you for supporting the show, by the way, and watching. I do appreciate that. Hey, I'll give a shout out to Carty. I was watching the show with Carty yesterday, and he'll be on later. And I didn't really realize how offensive the Chicago ball field is playing these days. What's the name of it? Progressive farm rate. What the White Sox ballpark? What is it called? Not progressive.
I don't know, but I that's the thing that I have. That's another idea that I have that would when everybody gives the alerts, whether it be us or our competitors or other, the alerts about the roof is closed.
Sure.
They just say the name of the park. Why don't they just put in parentheses which team's home park it is so that you don't have to, you can, if in case you don't, remember every single park. I mean, it'd be extremely easy to do that.
Yeah. I mean, some people know where Globe Life is in Arlington. Some people don't, but that's a good point. I agree with that point. So there you go. So send an email or, put that in the note box or something like that. But
I can't believe this. You won't believe this either, but I got blocked by Underdog NBA. Believe it,
Were you talking smack?
Never. I've mentioned them one time, and it was making fun of myself as a sports bettor, saying I used their alert to get 4 points of closing line value. When Giannis is out, so I clicked Milwaukee as quick as I could on the sports book, and I got it in. And I wrote, I'm a betting savant. I was making fun of myself. And then literally I go back and check there for an alert one day or something. And I was blocked. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I don't know those guys, so I can't put a good word in for you. I don't know. That seems
I just couldn't believe
strange.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't believe
Is that Pham? Is that Justin Pham? Is that who's who you
I don't
talked
know
to?
who runs it. I don't know who runs it. But I mean, I know he's the head of it. I don't know if there's someone else that's actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Enough nonsense. We shall dig into the slate. It's a big boy slate. It was 11 games. It's down to 10 games. We lost the Washington-Pittsburgh game. It seems like it's a very good chance we're going to lose the Atlanta and New York game. That's the Mets, I should say. Mets versus Atlanta. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. Did he update this? Last I saw, orange red. I'll drop this in the chat as well. Looks really dicey. Although I did see him just tweet out that the Mets apparently they are taking BP for what it's worth. So maybe they're going to try to squeeze it in. We shall see. Stay tuned on that. Here's the link in chat for the people. But there's a chance we go from 11. We're definitely down to 10. Maybe we go down to 9, and that's that. KC, Minnesota was dicey earlier. I think they're going to try to play, but who cares? That is on a different slate or it's a la carte. I think it was a 4 o'clock game or a 6 o'clock game, whatever it is. It's not relevant to our conversation. I mentioned DeGrom. We got DeGrom, the best pitcher in the world, be the best hitting environment in the world with Coors Field. Not the best hitting teams, obviously, especially with Colorado being a part of it. Arizona on the other side against Kyle Freeland. That's an 11 total, 2 totals individually as far as team totals above 5. We have the Oakland A's rolling out Drew Rucinski, who we haven't seen in the majors in, 5 years or so, something like that. He's been pitching a little bit in the minors. Oakland's pitching staff is horrendous. Ballpark, of course, stinks as far as hitting baseballs. Rucinski was playing, I think, for the NC Dinos, I want to say, over there in Korea, the KBO league. Reds lineup is out for what it's worth. They're always prompt. The Reds always do a good job of pumping their lineup relatively early. Otherwise, I want to get your screenshot as far as this main slate, as far as this big slate. Some good pitchers also sprinkled in. Some guys that have been historically good but kind of scuffling this year. Small sample stuff. Is it real? Is it not real? What do you have as far as the overview here, Kirkwood?
First, let me start off by saying congratulations. Last night, I saw that you took down the single entry, the $44 on DraftKings with a 4-2-2, and you had to throw in a little shot to Blender.
Yes. Yeah, that was just for funsies, but yeah.
The only question I have there is why didn't you put it in the 222?
I had a different lineup in the 222. I make more than one lineup. And I actually had it would have won the 222 by 20 or something like that.
15K would have been. Yeah, I just wanted to know you on that a little bit.
I think I finished 7th in that with a different lineup, actually. Similar, but different. Yeah, I ended up
same, but different.
Just shout out to for the content. Yesterday in the expert survey, my off the board team was the Rays. Just talking about how, Cease, a lot of fly balls, a lot of walks, locked in for 9. So I thought Tampa was an interesting thought process as far as getting to some tournaments shares. And in a single entry, that stuff condenses low was 1 or 2%. So, All right. Let me go ahead and thank you, chat. Thank you for the congratulations. I much appreciate it. Hey, you know what? Doesn't matter though. It's daily fantasy sports. It's about today and today only. Today I've won $0, Kirkwood. Nothing. So we got to get back on it. This is also that fun week on DK where they're doing that cumulative scoreboard. Where you got to play every single day, and whoever scores the most points in the 7 days in the same contest. I think I'm in the top 10 or top 20 in some of those too as well. But I thought the payout structure would be better. But whatever. It's free money, I suppose. It's all baked in. All right, Kirkwood, give me the screenshot. Thank you for the accolades. It's nothing like your screenshots for sure on Yahoo. You have those six-figure drops. I'm sure it's one to lay away for you tonight, if not tonight, soon enough. But what are we looking at as far as tonight?
I tend not to post Yahoo screenshots. I kind of save them for DK. But
okay.
Anyways, tonight we've got the best pitcher in baseball. It's as easy as it gets, right? Like DeGrom. He's so much better than everybody else. He's got a ridiculous 42% K percentage. Projects way higher than everyone else. Has an 8.5 K prop minus 165 to the over. It's been bet a little bit. But it's just, unless you've been living under a rock, that DeGrom is a priority on this slate, right? We do have a bunch of other good arms too, but pricing kind of similar. It's close enough to DeGrom where it's just, it's hard to prioritize unless you're doing SB2 for Framber Valdez. When you're in that ballpark to just go up to DeGrom. Castillo is on, who's been amazing. He's got a 30% K percentage, a 15% swinging strike rate, which is like elite this season so far. But like then you look at DeGrom's and it's 21.2% swinging strike rate, which is just, I don't know if I've ever seen that. Anyways, we've got, it's DeGrom and then a bunch of good arms, like decent arms. So, and depending on site, there's some plays that from price. So like on DraftKings, Alek Manoah is just too cheap for an SB2. Now, I wrote him up as I tagged him for expert plays, and I'll just basically read what I wrote for that. So
you're gonna plagiarize yourself.
No, I mean, this is my own content. So right here. So his season stats look bad so far, right? He's especially at the 13.2% walk rate, which is just disgusting. So he's had some problems. He's also coming back from injury, in the beginning. But he basically turned a corner in his last start. If you dig in against the Yankees, his slider was working, which is critical for him. The thing that's really critical is his fastball command. It was better. It's still not there. He had a big drop in the velocity from his first start, the next two starts, where it was really concerning. He was, he's usually a 94, when it's really going well, 95 mile per hour fastball guy, and he uses his pinpoint command, and then he uses his slider to combat that. And that's when everything's working. That's like peak Manoah. It dropped down to like 91, 92, so it was really concerning. But he got it back up to almost 94 in his last start, and the command was much better. He didn't get a lot of swinging strikes on it, which is a concern because he does usually get some. So basically, I think he's turned a corner. I think he's going to keep improving. He needs to get more whiffs on his fastball, a bit more speed, but like all the signs are pointing towards him being on the mend. Same thing that when I dug into Charlie Morton the other day, I figured he was going to be on the mend too. And he was the nuts in the slate. I mean, now the thing is that this is a potent Seattle offense that he's facing. So it's a tough matchup, but if you dig into how they've been performing this season so far, small sample size, but I see that you had no problem quoting Jason Hayward, small 47, at bats,
batted ball events.
Size. Yeah. Batted ball events. Which really blew Chop away. He was talking about it for a long time in our chat, but he can't believe how you used to preach sample size, and then you sit there and
probably Chop will be outraged. The lineup I won yesterday with, not the biggest about me, but I had the audacity, I had the gall to play Joey Gallo, who was 0 for 19 or 0 for 20 in his career against Zach Greinke with like 10 strikeouts going into the game. Now he was my worst hitter, I believe. But like Chop, I'm assuming Chop played zero Gallo because of the BVP. I didn't consult him on this, but
I played Gallo, and he should have had 2 homers in that game.
He had a double, right? Center
one.
Field, I believe, right
he
center.
Smashed it, and then he smashed another to center he hit it too high, and the wind literally, it was blowing in, and the wind made it right to the warning track, which on a normal day it would have gone out. That was disappointing, and Miranda was disappointing for me last night. I bubbled. I bubbled everything last night, so I was jealous of you taking down.
Hey, tonight's yours, man. It's all yours. I'm happy.
Anyway, what I was saying with Seattle is potent offense, but they haven't quite performed up to expectations. They're striking out at a fair clip. 13th in K percentage. They're 20th in WOBA, 17th in ISO, 18th in WRC plus versus right-handed pitching this season so far. So it's a decent matchup with some risk, and there's obviously risk built in, but his price is so low that takes care of the risk. So he's my SB2 tonight.
Yeah, I thought Manoah, I recklessly was saying like Manoah's going to go on the IL or something because like you're talking about, the velocity was so down to start the season, 90, 91 or so. And if you watch Manoah pitch, and just look at his stature, is like, how does this guy not have more strikeouts? The strikeouts not very impressive this year. Really not impressive this year. Even dating back to last season, not phenomenal. This year, 17% and change. The walks at 13% as well. Like you said, he's kind of righted the ship. The velocities tick back up again, and it's all kind of baked into the price. I like Luis Castillo on the other side as well. I think he's pretty interesting. Of course, who wants to pick on Toronto, but Castillo's been awesome this year, 30.4% as far as the Ks. The 5% walks is really good. I think he's a reverse splits pitcher, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right on right with 36.4%. Well, I guess that's and 24% as far as the lefties. What do we have in Toronto? We have power righties. So I think he's pretty well suited to take care of this team.
That's always been his problem. Has always been the lefty power has always been a problem for him.
Yeah, I was misreading something for a second, and I was trying to correctly adjust there on the fly, but I was saying the wrong words for some reason. By the way, we should mention DeGrom. No Aaron Judge. Judge left yesterday's game. He was kind of questionable going into the game yesterday. He gave it a go. I want to say he struck out twice, at least once. Did not look good. He got the hook. I think he's got a side or something like that. Probably going to miss a couple days. We'll see, but not in the Yankees lineup today. So, which is good and bad, right? You like to strike out guys. No Stanton, no Donaldson, no Bader, no Judge. And you pull up the plate IQ as far as this Yankee lineup today. And it's not good. It's not good. LeMahieu, Rizzo, Torres, Calhoun, Peraza, Cabrera, Cordero, Hicks, and Higashioka. Some power, I suppose, but not a ton. Let me stretch it back to last season. I like the bigger sample, 2022 to 2023. You got Rizzo, sure. Fair bit of Ks there in the back end with Cabrera, Cordero, Hicks, and Higashioka, but basically it's not a lot that we're afraid of. I know DeGrom is essentially matchup proof and who cares, but the power threat of Judge just not in that lineup. And also wanted to mention, this is not a big secret. Everybody else knows DeGrom. They all read Cheese's article. They know DeGrom's good. 56% we're saying as far as the ownership on DK for DeGrom. Going to pull up Fanduel's in a second. It sounds like you're going to lean in on that. I'm going to lean in on that. I know he left his start early. That's happened before for precautionary reasons, and maybe he doesn't throw 112 pitches, but he can get it. He can strike out 12 in 90 pitches. That's something he can do. Like you said, you sort of mapped out how much distinctly better he is than the second best pitcher, not on the planet, but just on this slate. It's outrageous. You're coming in over this number? Yes, as far as DeGrom and the ownership, you don't care, just playing him?
Yeah, I'm just playing him.
Yeah.
Now I've been too chalky lately. I should be playing double. I'm like the min. I've been like the bubble king, so I'm like, why am I not just throwing this in cash every night?
Yeah, well, it's weird, right? Because sometimes, depending on the cash cutoff can sometimes be higher than the GPP cutoff, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Even though it doesn't make sense math-wise, but just because, just how things go and how ownership stuff goes, depending on how the cash players go. But 40%, by the way, we're seeing for DeGrom on FanDuel. We talked about Noah.
I wanted to interrupt you and give you a quick shout out to Mark, who's out there delivering mail and listening to us. So that's just wanted to shout him out. It's a thanks for listening.
Yeah, and thank you for delivering the mail. Much appreciated as well. Framber Valdez on FanDuel, by the way, getting 23%. DeGrom getting 40% as far as ownership. Beyond those two on FanDuel, nobody getting ownership above 7. By the way, this is going to change potentially because we're seeing Max Fried getting ownership, and that game might go away. People might be afraid to play it just in general. He's getting 6% currently on FanDuel. Again, our numbers are saying that the game's going to play, but Roth is saying it's pretty dicey. He'll be on in about 45 minutes or so to clarify that. Fried also getting 16% on DK. Framber Valdez, Carty comes on and he says, pitchers don't have a floor, yada, yada, yada. I understand the point he's making, but when Framber Valdez and his 23 consecutive quality starts in a row, if somebody has a floor, it's Framber Valdez. Of course, he can get shellacked. He can get mollywopped. These things are possible, I suppose. But, Framber is just, all his ground balls. He's got to get thoroughly BABIP'd. Where do you see Framber for you? Kind of pricey on DK, 10K, especially if you're running out DeGrom. We live in a world with salary cap. It's hard to double barrel and spend 21.5 on your two pitchers. You can do it. It's a big slate. You can find some cheapies, but you're also, cutting yourself off some, pretty expensive, pricey, well-positioned bats. Your SB2 is Manoah, it sounds like, but if you're going away from that, are we looking at Framber? Are we looking at Fried? I guess Fried again. Right now, I'm kind of assuming it's not going to go. Castillo at 12%, I think you're supposed to get over that in tournaments because he's got the ability to be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. Wouldn't shock us. But yeah, talk about Framber. I have a couple other guys I want to throw your way.
I'm talking about this through a DraftKings lens, but Framber is a solid SP2. If you don't want to play Manoah, you don't want to take on that risk. He's as safe as it gets. It does squeeze the salary on you a little bit. But we do have some value plays that have popped in. I mean, we've got Rivera batting second for a DHing for the Diamondbacks at 2.6K. So there's and the Diamondbacks overall are pretty cheap, and they're probably the number one offense on the slate. But I mean, he looks like a great option. I mean, he's got a nice so far this season. I mean, his strikeouts have been up. He's at 26% K percentage, 30% called strike whiffs. So like all of his stuff looks very good this season so far. So I like him. I'm not going to prioritize him because of the price of Manoah. But if I can do it, yeah. And if you can do it, I'll also, we'll chase the upside on the other side of Castillo. So I think that's the very clear top four right there. It's DeGrom in his own tier. You got Castillo, you've got Framber, and then you've got the savings on Manoah. Now there are other ace pitchers that are, that haven't actually been so great this season that are still there below him.
Aaron Nola.
Yeah, we've got Nola, and you've got to think he's going to come around at some point. So I'm not giving up on him yet. It's been rough. His curveball has not been the same. Like that's his pitch, right? That's been his money pitch for forever. So he's got to get that going, and I have full faith that he will. And then there's Shane Bieber, whose strikeouts have been way down this season, but he's still in the conversation. Zach Eflin, depending on site for price, because isn't he like ridiculously high on FanDuel and pretty high on DraftKings, but he's in play. And then I'll throw out what I'm thinking about on Yahoo for if anyone here is playing Yahoo tonight. I mean, they've priced Giolito at $29. So I don't know what people are going to do. I bet you they don't play him because pitcher's so important over there. And I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm going to be alone on Giolito Island, but I think people will play Framber more, but it'll be interesting to see.
Dean, you're muted.
All right. 23% as far as the Ks this season for Giolito, 5% for walks. Too many fly balls in that ballpark can be troublesome as well. He's facing that Tampa team who just crushed yesterday. I don't know, man. I'm scared to play Giolito. I'm scared to pick on Tampa. And again, that ballpark is just, I was looking at the Fangraph stuff as far as yielding homers, but top 3, top 4 as far as giving up homers the last couple of years. I get it for tournaments, but as like a main lineup, I don't think I can do that, but it's your separator, I suppose, right? What's your confidence level on Giolito, like 1 through 10?
I mean, I'm a little bit more optimistic than I think people. I think he looks pretty good this season so far. I like his pitch count, which is great. I know it's a tough offense, Tampa, but they can't do this every single night. So I mean, he's 20. Like I got to take the price. I got to take the arm talent for the price and just roll with it. And I'm gonna variance happens. I may be dead right after the first or second inning, but that's the way I play. YOLO,
Have you stepped outside today? The weather in Boston, it looks like Weather Edge is saying it's pretty good pitching weather. 86 game sample. We saw a decrease of 25% in homers, a decrease in 16% as far as runs. 53 degrees the temperature, the wind blowing in from right field about 8 miles per hour. And I know you're a big fan of the dew point. I'm not going to leave that out. The dew point is 42. Yeah, and then that leads in the Bieber Pavetta conversation. Those guys, theoretically, if you're running out 20 lineups, they join your pool.
It was actually beautiful weather in Boston this afternoon, but it's going to spike down and get a little colder as we go here. But yeah, no. First of all, I mean, I'm not using Pavetta if that's what you're asking.
Yeah,
and the Red Sox don't strike out enough, but like Bieber could end up being a good, very low owned play. I think everyone's going to say the same thing and just say, oh, he's not worth the price of the strikeout rate that Boston doesn't strike out. But Boston is not the most threatening lineup. They do hit. They've been hitting, but I think for GPPs, he's Bieber is definitely in play.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the plate IQ specific to the conversation what you're talking about. I don't want to pick on Cleveland. Like I'm not playing Pavetta because Cleveland just they hit the ball, they make contact, and there's some power there as well. Obviously with J-Ram and Naylor, but just they don't strike out, man. Quan at 8%, Rosario 18, J-Ram 11, Naylor 12, Bell 17. Zanino's in there and great. He could also homer. He probably strikes out a couple times, so he might hit the monster as well. And Pavetta is not like this great K savant, and he walks too many guys. 9.5% as far as walks in the case are 23, which is fine, but not spectacular. Producer Steve says we get the 200 likes. I guess this is a perk. I guess this is an incentive. He will randomly mute me throughout the show. That'll be fun. There you go. So hit the like button. There's your incentive to shut me up. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things to help us keep the lights on. You know, it's a nice little thank you. We do appreciate that. And I was asking for Frederick. Frederick in chat was asking about Bieber or Pavetta. Jeremy says he just hit the like button. There you go, Jeremy. Whatever works, I suppose. There's not an NBA show, but yeah, producer Devin did drop in Chopper's head chopper. We spoke of him earlier. He has a video. He's making videos as far as the basketball. 2 games tonight. Should be fun. Should be some fun basketball. We have the Panthers. Vamos Gatos. Let's go Cats. Hopefully we take us back to Boston. Game 7, right next door to you. We had Bobby on yesterday. He says he can see, like, basically see your living room from his house. Does he ever you ever feel like he's watching you when you're like, eating cereal?
He's like, he's done that. He's texted me like, what's that? What was that big? What's going on over there outside your place? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And because so I'm right on the harbor, and there's this bar. It's called Tall Ship. It's a sailboat, a large sailboat on the water. That's a bar, and then they have and then there's like an adult playground next to it, kind of thing. You know, where they like there's like cornhole and stuff like that, and food vendors and like food trucks and stuff like that. But it's kind of like a little hot place in the summertime in Boston. But like I've always said that someone's gonna fall off the boat drunk, and there's gonna be a fight or something's gonna happen, and someone's gonna like drown or need help. Like that's like, so he was like, what's going on over there? There's a bunch of cars. So I feel like he does watch this building. Like there's been several times he's done that. He's texted me and been like, what's going on over there? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Is he a part of the neighborhood watch organization? It sounds like he's on top of things. Do you even have a ring bell service? You don't need that. You just have you got Bobby keeping
he's a North End guy. He's in the Italian, in the restaurant business. So he's kind of like a maid guy over there, So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting to note going forward. Congrats to Bobby. All right. By the way, the chat they're talking about the Mets playing tonight in the rain. Yeah, apparently. Again, Roth will be on in a bit, in about a half hour or so. That game looks really, really dicey. Not sure if he updated his article, but last we saw it was orange-red. He didn't lead with red, but orange-red is not a lot of optimism there. So we'll see. We're going to talk about, at least I'm going to talk about, like, that game's not playing. Is that where you're at too? Or no? Maybe it does play. I suppose it's possible.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you're saying, but let me touch on one more thing that the Don, who just came off of his birthday, Don Yeezy, one of a big supporter of us over here, and a good dude. He wants to know about Eflin. So obviously he's playing Eflin, and this is what he does. He just asks us, like, if we talk him up, he's going to be like, yeah, I love him too. If we don't say it, if we talk him down, he's going to say, yeah, I'm playing Eflin. So he's already decided he's playing Eflin. Yeah, I guarantee you he's already decided he's playing Eflin, and I like it. Eflin's looked pretty good, but it's all about matchup. I mean, this White Sox offense has just been pathetic this season. So they're 25th in WRC+, they're 23rd in ISO. They're not very intimidating, to say the least, and Eflin has looked pretty good. 25% K percentage is nice for him. He's got a 12% swinging strike rate, so like his Ks could be up even more. As far as
pitch count was the only thing, not to cut you off, but I'm sorry, but he threw 67 pitches his first game back after being away for 2 weeks. Do we think he gets like around 85 or so?
I figure
things are going well.
I figure he's probably back today.
Let's see. Carty has 82 as like a median projection for what it's worth, which I think what Carty's doing, and not to speak for Carty in the bat, is like the logical step is 15 more pitches in the last outing, and 15 plus 67 is 82. So that's my guess. But yeah, there you go. And I suppose he can get the job done if he has 85 pitches. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's back to full strength. So, but they're a tight organization over there. So, and the hard contact's been low, pretty decently low, like not too bad. So, yeah, I'm all for Eflin. He's pretty cheap on Yahoo too as well.
By the way, I did read, not to plagiarize, I'm going to give the shout out. I read Cheese's article, and he was talking about Drew Rucinski, who, again, I don't know if we've seen him pitch in the majors in several years. Oakland is just scrounging for arms, people that can throw baseballs professionally to some degree. He's 4K on DK, and he's pitching in a positive ballpark. I think he went 5 innings his last outing in AAA. Is this somebody we're considering? Do we need to do this? If you're running, how many lineups do you have to make if you say screw it? Maybe Drew Rucinski can survive and give us 14 points, and that's enough to open things up for the salary, and I can get an expensive stack. I know he's not your first lineup guy, but how many lineups are you making, and do you consider, if any? Is there just an infinite number? You're like, screw it. I don't want Drew Rucinski. This isn't the KBO.
Yeah, I mean, he's 4K, so sure. If Cheese is on board, sure. Seems like a multi-entry play. I'm doing 3 lineups. He's not going to make my cut tonight, but I don't know anything about him besides what you just said.
Yeah, I was looking into him before the show. There's a person named Rylan Bannon who's making, I believe, his MLB debut, or maybe his debut for the Astros. I saw the Astros called him up. We were talking about Houston just because we were talking about Aaron Nola, and look at that Astros lineup. It's pretty bad, right? Obviously no Altuve has been out the entire year. Jordan Alvarez, I want to say he's dealing with a neck. He's not playing baseball tonight. Dubon, Pena, Tucker, Bregman, Abreu, Jolks, Myers, Rylan, Bannon, and Martin Maldonado. Noah's been rough this year. He's not been good at all, right? But this feels like a pretty good spot to bounce back with this Astros lineup. What is Rylan Bannon? What does this guy do in the minor leagues? Not a big prospect in the organization. He's 27 years old. He's got some power.
We've got a good bat and a decent sneaky bat in Colorado.
This the number 2 hitter for Arizona, or somebody else?
No, Brenton Doyle, number 8 hitter, has some pop for the Rockies.
Yeah. Another person's like that. These are not real names. You could have said the name, Brenton Bannon and Rylan Doyle are playing, and you could have mixed. I still would have thought that I'm equally confused. But yeah, I think we looked at him the other day, or at least I did. This isn't his first start, right? I feel like he's played a few times. Has anybody made a Doyle rules reference? Probably relating to that, I imagine. He is buried, in the 8-hole at home. Merrill Kelly is a professional pitcher. He's competent. He hasn't been great this year. He's walking too many guys. But is that your favorite cheapie on the board? Brenton Doyle, is that better than Emmanuel Rivera batting second for Arizona, their DH?
No, what's wrong with Rivera? What's wrong with Rivera?
He's okay. He's not great. What's great about him? It's the best thing about it is he's cheap and he's in Coors, and that's that. He's batting second.
He's batting second, and he's in Coors.
Yeah, I know. But he still has to swing the bat. I know he's professionally trained, but he still has to do it in a competent way.
Give me your analysis on him.
I was looking at him before the show, actually, and just unspectacular. But what do you want? He's stone minimum essentially, and he's batting second in Coors Field. Kyle Freeland is fine. Again, another professional pitcher. He knows how to pitch in Coors. He's done way too many fly balls this year in Colorado. I think he's probably going to be too heavily owned in tournaments. Is my analysis. That's my concern. So if you're playing cash games, sure, of course, right? But I don't know if I want to lean into Emmanuel Rivera chalk. That's my thought process. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean he has struggled, but he does have some power in him. And he's bad. First of all, he's DHing, which is a good sign. And
why is that a good? What's the difference?
Because typically you have some of these guys so they want him just for his bat. It's not who's left?
Who are they leaving out that they're not playing? Probably
they have a team full of people, Dean.
I'm saying the manager said one of these 5 guys is going to DH for me tonight. Who did he
The
beat?
manager had confidence to put him in the number 2 hole, and they're only playing him for his bat. And that you got to read between the lines here.
Okay, I'm asking: is there a lefty on the bench that can spell him? Which is what I'm trying to figure.
Yes.
Oh, Jose Rojas.
It
could be Jose Rojas. Yeah, Pavin Smith.
Yeah.
Perdomo is another guy. Is he a lefty?
Perdomo.
He's switch hitter.
He's a switch hitter. Yeah, he's a switch.
Yeah. How do you feel about Evan Longoria playing him in the year 2023? I don't feel great about that either.
I feel fine with it against Freeland and Coors.
Once upon a time, we would have been salivating, right? He was a certifiable lefty masher back in the day. But now it's, I don't know. I don't get excited about Evan Longoria anymore. I feel like it's kind of over for him. But if it's going to happen, this is a spot for it to happen, I suppose. And the power is pretty good, to be fair. 191 ISO. That's pretty solid versus lefties dating back to last season. What do you think of Carroll left on left? Does that bother you? You don't care?
No, Carroll, I'm all for. Because first of all, how long is Freeland going to go in this game? Carroll is ridiculous, and the fact that he'll run continue. They could be down 15 runs, and he's going to run the bases. He's going to steal bags for you. So this whole team will keep running. So I like the Diamondbacks, even though it's the first game in Coors. Obvious letdown.
I think that's kind of a nonsense thing. Are we sure that's real, or that's something that somebody made up?
It's definitely real. I've got the numbers to prove it's 100% real.
Okay. I want to ask Carty if we remember. Let's ask Carty if that's a real thing or not. Not to say you're wrong, but I've not seen the data on it.
He's going to say it's not, and he's going to go on and say play Blake Snell in cash because he's.
Come on now. That's a low blow. That's a couple days ago. We care, the conversations we care about today and today only. You don't hear me talking about Whit Merrifield with TJ 4 days ago,
and he ruined one of the biggest baseball edges for betting this afternoon.
Oh yeah, he did. That he did do.
I mean, so you sell EV analytics, you sell, you have subscribers to the bat. Like at least announce it to them first. Let them hang the line. Let them bet it. First of all, when a game opens up the day before in betting markets, it takes less. It's such little action for them to just like basically remove it off. You can move, you can move your line yourself like easily. So it wasn't going to be able to get a ton of action probably, but certainly it was messed up for people. The mark, they do.
So you're talking about the game in Mexico tomorrow. It's San Francisco and San Diego. And there was a whole thread on it. And I thought it was really interesting that Carty put up there on the old Twitter. Basically, he described it as Coors on steroids. It looks like a blast, like to watch. And maybe there's an edge to that, but maybe there's not because people are too sharp these days and too many people are subscribing to things that are, like RotoGrinders and what Carty's putting out there. But apparently it opened at 8.5 on DK, at least according to one person. And Carty was saying like the bat had it 16, 17 points as a total.
Yes, 17
points, runs. And now DK apparently had it they have it at 15, which is like a 15 over under. And also Sean Manaea is pitching. Like, oh man, the righties on San Fran, Mitch Haniger. Like if you can get like home run props in these guys, it sounds like an absolute blast. It's probably not out there just yet, and I guess it's going to adjust. But I'm really curious to see what's a homer prop for Haniger tomorrow, or just think of the righty power guys in San Fran against Manaea. It should be a lot of fun. The elevation, obviously, in Mexico City factors in a lot too to make the ball travel more. All right, what are we talking about here in chat? Longoria. They're having a fun way of different guys at different terms about hitting homers. Yeah, Longo Dongo was referring to his home run prowess at one point. Maybe it's referring to as something else. Yordong, of course. That's Yordong Alvarez. Vlastianos, Nick Castellanos. Okay, just having a good time there. Oh, it's a Manaea revenge game. It's not going to go well. I'm pretty sure it's Manaea taking the bump on Saturday, if not Saturday, Sunday as well. Wait, isn't Haniger on the same team as Manaea? I don't think so. Haniger's in the Giants, right? And Manaea is on. Wait, no. You know what? They're right.
He's on the Giants now.
Yeah, I goofed. Yeah, you are correct, Morgan. I will take my L. Well, in BP though, he's going to throw in batting practice for some reason. Oh boy. So that means that like Machado. Oh, good Lord, it's over. It's over for
But there's no more gut. The Padres are gutless. Steve will back. Steve, get back in here.
Are the Padres gutless? Can you confirm or deny?
Facts, right?
Biggest bust in baseball this year. It's embarrassing.
Juan Soto.
How many games are in the regular season? I correct. Remind me. Did you remember or no?
It's been enough games so far.
You sure you want to ask Carty? Can we bring Carty in and ask him the sample size is big enough to know?
No, because he's going to tell us to play.
He's going to still say that Juan Soto is the best. He's planted his flag that he's the best hitter in baseball. Is he still the best hitter in baseball after this?
I thought Trout was the best hitter. I mean, he's top 5. And like again, when he's walking, I assume that's helping his hitting ability. I know it's not hitting, but like as far as like guys who wants to play,
he's striking out this season. It's Eric Goldberg's already on a play here with a Teoscar revenge.
Is he a vengeful guy?
Extremely.
I don't think so. I thought Toronto liked him, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. This is first blood, right? Very first game back.
I agree with Izzy. Acuna has to be the number 1 player.
He's awesome.
Hitter. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, his power's down. If you want to like extrapolate that, his power is severely down.
Guy does not stop stealing bases.
That's not hitting. That's a different skill.
Well,
you're saying number 1 offensive player.
I said offensive player. I should have said.
Yeah, you said number 1 hitter, and I'm not here to besmirch Acuna. He's awesome, but I know some fantasy guys are upset that his power is down a little bit. But like, dude's
Teoscar plays for the Mariners. And he's playing the Jays tonight.
Give me a summary. Give me a summary as far as arms. We'll talk about stacks. About 20 minutes. Is it 25 minutes? What time is crunch time coming in today? Jury's the best hitter in baseball, at least according to the last 5 days. The Oakland A's pitching staff will do that.
I was going to update my. Hold on, I wanted to see where he is right now for the season.
Jury.
Yeah, I want to see. Where does he rank in hard? Well, he's got to be up there in ISO. Where does he rank in ISO?
Wait, hard hit. I thought you said hard hit rate is meaningless at this point in the season. The sample is too small. That's why you're knocking Jason Hayward.
I just wanted to see. I didn't say it means anything to me. I just want to see where he is.
Why would you want to see meaningless things?
Because I like to see. I like to keep my finger on the pulse. I like to see all these things.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, my finger is in the pulse of Jason Hayward hitting the ball hard this year. King of Smack says, Ozzie Albies has more homers than Acuna this year. He does. But, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to tell you that Ozzie Albies is a better baseball player than Ronald Acuna, right? We're not saying that. Let's see. Apparently, is there some positive stuff?
Guess who's number 4 in ISO?
On the season?
If you remove plate appearances.
Oh. If you remove plate appearances, I don't know. Who's number 4?
Great value play.
Is it the dude batting second for Arizona?
No, it's
I know who it is. Yeah.
5.
How much is it? Like 20 plate appearances?
17
good for
plate
him.
appearances. That's enough for a top BVP play of the day.
I mean, Chop was it Goldie hit 2 homers the other day versus Cisco? Did Chop win some money? If he stuck to his old BVP thing. Goldie had hit 2 homers versus Cisco.
The problem with Chop is right now he's knee deep in NBA right now. I mean, you see him pumping out those videos every day.
Golden State, by the way, wins pretty big tonight. That's my call. It's a cute story with Sacramento and good for them, but I think Golden State knockout punch tonight. The beam is getting put out. You know, the torch, whatever sort of metaphor you want to use. You have a thought in this, or you don't care, you don't know, are you following this?
I mean, I think Golden State wins. You want to hear the worst betting mistake? Did I tell anyone? You want to hear the worst betting mistake of all time that I just did?
Okay.
So I was betting on MG. I was betting on MGM, and I mean, I did it twice. So it was the second time on the same day that I made the same mistake. So when you're live betting, it's all about grabbing the line quickly because they're usually a little bit ahead of our feed for like the NBA or whatever. So Golden State was down, so I was trying to hit them for the game, and I had already made the same mistake on the Cavs game earlier. But I hit I bet 5,000 on the first half on Golden State by accident when I meant for the game. And there's nothing I could do. I couldn't they don't, and for half times they don't do cash outs. Their user interface is awful. I had already clicked to get it off my screen and to make game lines, but it reset it automatically to the thing, and I didn't realize it until I hit click, and I threw away $5,000 on a first half Golden State. Just such
that stinks.
Big money,
awful. Awful. No, I mean that you feel
that is awful. I had another website with the same thing, and I went to bet first half line, and they list before the game started as well. They list the second half line first. So I bet it, and I'm like, "Oh, I hit. Let's go!" And then I look, and it was the second half line.
That's the thing too. Is I have 4 different sports books, and I have one that I use mainly, which is DraftKings. And they don't even put the first half line. Like you have to really like search to get out of there.
It's like the last option on DK.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just soul crushing.
By the way, in chat, they're talking about this is tweet from Anthony Tacoma, one of the beats for the Mets, suggesting that they have significant incentive to try to get this game in tonight. Let me just pull ahead and thank you for pointing this out. I don't know. Again, the weather may just like override this, and there's nothing you can do. Apparently, the weather looks bad today. It looks even worse tomorrow. They have significant incentive to wait this one out. If they don't manage to play their first 3 games of the series, then Max Scherzer will no longer be eligible to pitch in the finale. And why does that matter? I guess you want Max pitching against the Mets in a revenge game against the Braves. Why am I doing that? You want him to pitch against the Braves because it's a divisional game. That these games matter over the 162 a little bit more so. So, okay, I guess maybe we'll see. Just worth noting. But again, if the weather just doesn't cooperate, there's nothing you can do. King of Smack is saying I got Clay for plus 25. Let's see. The Andrews plus 25 on a DK promo for Clay Thompson. I don't know what the number is you're getting, but our projections, for what it's worth, we are projecting Clay to score as a median score 22.93 points in the bucket. So if that's like a straight minus 110, that looks like a bad bet for what it's worth. But if you're getting like plus 160 or something like that on a boost, then sure, have at it. Enjoy yourself. All right. Did you get the summary as far as arms?
I mean, it's for me. Okay, so for DraftKings, it's DeGrom clear number 1. You're playing him unless you want to get a little spicy and things happen in baseball, whatever, yada yada yada. But he's the clear number 1. You're either pairing him with Framber or Manoah or Castillo if you can make that happen. If you're looking further from that, I think Zach Eflin is interesting, but a little bit definitely overpriced on DraftKings, but could work out. I guess if you have any confidence that Fried could actually, play tonight and pitch well, I mean, 7,700 is not bad whatsoever for him. But Aaron Nola, like you said, the Houston lineup is not that intimidating. I think we all think he's going to bounce back. But I think I have one other interesting one here. Let me just double check.
Who's the last guy? Who's the last person we're talking about?
No one's going to play Flaherty. But his velocity, and this Dodgers lineup stinks. I mean, you saw what Pittsburgh did to him, right? And
what's he expected back for the record?
Okay, correct. One more.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
It's still like they're still missing JD. They still lost some players anyway.
Will Smith.
I think Outman is just. I think it's been I think he's going to regress back. I mean, I think you've already seen it, but I don't think he's this great bat that everyone thinks he is. Will Smith going to be back?
So Mr. Gerg says Smith and Muncy expected back. I know Muncy expected back. I thought Smith was coming back tomorrow, unless something's changed. We don't have a lineup just yet.
So if Will Smith is out, this lineup is still attackable. And Flaherty's velocity is coming back. His slider was actually good in his last start. He threw 104 pitches. He only had 2 walks. He did have 9 Ks. And no, I don't think anyone's going to play him again. Like, people don't want to go there, right?
By the way, so if you trust the DK notes, according to DK, it says Smith is expected to be activated from the injured list ahead of the Dodgers game Friday. So according to DK, at least on their site, he's expected to be activated tonight. So I thought it was Saturday. Maybe he's ahead of schedule, but yeah, maybe we get Smith and Muncy back. And obviously Betts is still there.
Wow,
Flaherty's been better.
Wait, we just got the nicest comment I've ever heard. This Kirk D's
What's
guy
that?
looks like he snorts bumps of fentanyl straight off of a key. Thanks, buddy. Love to see what you look like.
So Kirkwood, that was not the people didn't see that. That was like it was in review.
Like who? Like it's just a troll. Is this like one of the people because I made a MAGA comment and then like so they come in and troll now or something?
Just to be clear, that didn't go out. The people you saw that because you have a wrench, but yeah, it seems to be not the nicest of allegations.
Though. Great comment.
Yeah. Let's seamlessly segue to stacks, to hitters. Let's talk about our favorite stacks of the night. We talked about Arizona and Coors, of course, both their totals above 5. Like Cincinnati in a bad ballpark, but against Oakland and whatever is being thrown at them, Racinski and that terrible bullpen. I guess they're interesting. Their total's still down to 4.25. They're kind of sort of somewhat sneaky. I was looking at the consensus rankings of our stacks, and I didn't copy Dave's. I'm the only person that didn't have Cleveland because I just don't like stacking them. I don't like. There's just too many singles, and whatever. They're fine, I guess. I like the mini stack. I might like to play 5 Cleveland guys. Arizona's number 1, no surprise by consensus. Colorado number 2, Cleveland number 3, LA number 4. Then Milwaukee, then the Angels. I put the Angels highest for what it's worth. Cincinnati, and you showed a little bit of love to Oakland, which is interesting. Yeah, Luis Cessa's not good either. And they're cheap, and I imagine you're factoring that in. Esteury Ruiz and his stolen base prowess. Noda's got some power. Rooker's been flat. I kind of like the Oakland 1 through 4, and they're really, really cheap. You can get, you can spend up pretty solidly around that. Is that your thought process? Like you like them just like raw points as is?
Hold on, let me double check something. Are you sure that I clicked the Oakland?
I'm positive, unless you misclicked it. These things do happen sometimes. Yeah, I mean, feel free to.
No, so not on draft. So on DraftKings, so you're looking at the Fanduel one. I'm
looking at DraftKings, the expert rankings. I can drop you a link if you want.
Well, I'm looking at it too. It says wait, so I
scroll all the way to the bottom.
It's wow, number 3 Oakland. I did not. That shouldn't be there. That was a misclick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Actually, I don't think it's crazy. I wouldn't have them 3, obviously, but I think they're on the board. And
so that's supposed to be Cincinnati. I'll fix it right now.
Yeah, but we both have Arizona 1. If they're going to be crazy chalk, I don't know how great it is. I kind of talked about Emmanuel Rivera already. Like whatever, he's fine. Not going to say you can't play him, but if he's going to be super heavily owned in like single entry tournaments, I'm not afraid that guy's going to be the one that ruins my life or ruins the night, I suppose. It's possible, sure. Let's see. You got Cincinnati 3, Kirkwood?
Yeah.
Is this just because you think Racinski and that bullpen's terrible and that's that?
Yes. The bullpen numbers are absurd. If there's ever a spot for Cincy to start, pounding out some runs. Now, it's obviously I would much rather prefer it to be in Cincinnati, but they're not going to get a ton of ownership. So that was the thought process.
That's my issue. Is the ballpark is terrible, but and they can, nickel and dime them, I suppose. But I don't know how many homers they're going to get.
But like that's how they're going to get there. You know what I mean? Like they're going to nickel and like they're just going to have like if it's going to work out, it's going to be nickel and dime, but like a lot of runs.
Just remember in a spot like this last year, Rivera hit 3 home runs. Did he have a 3-homer game last year, Rivera? In Coors? Did that happen?
He's got some pop.
Hold on a second. How many home runs did he even have last year? He's got 2 this year. Last year for 2 teams combined, he had 12. And he had a game where he hit and that's 12 and 350 at bats. Very little speed. Whatever. Look, I'm not here saying you can't play him, and if you're playing cash games, he probably makes sense for cash games. It's just I'm not enthused if he's going to be super heavily owned. We can play the stack game as well. You're talking about the Quan versus J-Rod. rookie of the year conversation. That's kind of a fun one. Yeah, people always give me a hard time for not loving Quan. Quan is just like not great for DFS. He's got to go like 3 for 5 with, a couple steals and, a couple doubles, which he can do, but typically doesn't homer. I like homers. I guess I'm weird. Naylor and J-Rod are great on Cleveland, but beyond that, how do you stack Cleveland up? The pick on Pivetta.
Well, it's J-Ram, obviously, what you just said. It's you choose your Naylor or Bell, and Rosario's fine. Like he at least has some, like you've got stolen base upside. You can run on Pivetta too. So you got Quan, Rosario with speed, Jimenez with speed too. I think you could even play Zunino for a bomb.
I like that. I actually like Zunino as he might be. If I'm making a little mini Cleveland stack, it's probably J-Rod, Naylor, and Zunino. I like that combination for sure. So I can stretch the 3 or 4 in Cleveland. I guess I shouldn't say I'm only sticking to the mini stack. I can go beyond 3 potentially. You have a favorite value play on this slate? Go away from Coors. Just a favorite value play as is the guy that just kind of makes stuff work. Is it Oakland players possibly, or Cincinnati players?
The best catcher play is William Contreras with the platoon, who hits left-handed pitching very, very well for the Brewers. So I think he's he's probably going to be extremely chalky. Trying to see who else.
We should talk about that game actually. That Angels Milwaukee game, 9 total. Milwaukee's got a total close to 5. Tyler Anderson has been pretty bad this year, right? I guess I'm not as heavy on Milwaukee as everybody else, but like I'm not talking poorly about them. Well, what's your stand? I like the Angels on this side against Wade Miley, the righty power Ward Trout. Obviously Drury's been smashing. The price is pretty subdued. I love Renfroe. Rendon might be over for Rendon. I'm not sure. I don't feel great about it. The left on left for Tani, but like maybe gets to the bullpen. Of course, that bullpen can be pretty good if Milwaukee's ahead. If Milwaukee's head, your Angel stack is probably dead anyway. Unless it's like a 12-9 game.
I think Wade Miley's pretty good, to be honest with you.
He's got a wide split though, right? Doesn't he? He's vulnerable versus righties, and the righties for the Angels are good. I like the ballpark jump here. I think it's a ballpark jump from LA to Milwaukee. If anything, it's neutral. Being on the road, you're locked in for 9. You like Miley as a pitcher? Like you're not rostering him, or you don't?
No, I'm not. You can't roster him on this slate, but
yeah, I'm not rostering him.
I'm not one to pick on him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess he does a pretty good job of not giving up, crazy power. Maybe, yeah, but I think I do like those Angels up top. Trout, obviously, you never go wrong. I don't know if I'm prioritizing him as a big spend, but certainly like it. Let's play the stack game. We got about 15 minutes until we get Roth. We get Derek Carty, Dave Potts on a Friday night. Get those likes up. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do the turn those notifications so when we go live, and when we go live basically anyway. Anytime if there's a slate, we're gonna go live, depending on 2 hours, give or take, before the slate starts. Let's talk stacks here, Kirkwood. How much you're prioritizing, and as far as stack builds. How open are you to making like a 3-3-2 as opposed to like a 5-3 or a 4-4, or is it all sort of relative depending on what teams you're mixing and matching with?
I'm always open to that. If I'm playing single entry or 3 entry, or even large field with that, I'm totally fine with doing that. If I'm mass entering in like a extremely large field contest, I'm just gonna have it. I'm gonna make full stacks, but any other contests, I'm totally fine with it. Like there's so many different ways to get there in MLB. So I subscribe. I thought your lineup was fine. It was great. So I do that all the time.
Yeah, and that was also like a 5-game slate too. Chop doesn't care about that stuff at all, basically, depending on the slate. And then like you said, there's more than one way to attack it.
I do a lot of like 4-4s. But yeah.
By the way, I got some bad news for you if you like Emmanuel Rivera. Potentially bad news. According to the bat, just pinch hit risk. We were sort of talking about the dudes that are not playing today. at least not starting the game. According to the bat, Derek Carty's the bat, 35% chance, 36% chance that Emmanuel Rivera gets the hook tonight. Brousseau, by the way, number 1, leading off from Milwaukee. I saw somebody in chat mention he's got a shot to get the hook, which is, he's leading off, and Tyler Anderson may not go 3 times around, right? So there's a chance that actually got him batting 4th. Yeah, there's a chance, pretty decent chance, right? Depending on game situation and all that Brousseau only gets 2 at bats tonight. That can happen. And he's not even leading off. They have Yelich leading off versus Tyler Anderson left on left. Is Anderson reverse splitsy or neutral? What's his split? Because typically Milwaukee doesn't do that. And also Yelich kind of stinks these days. Yeah, like if you're stacking up Milwaukee, is Yelich somebody you're prioritizing? I think first you like Contreras, you like Adames before Yelich, I imagine. Yes?
Yeah, but I'm fine playing Yelich.
Okay.
You thought they would sit him?
Yelich? No. A lot of times they move Brousseau up to the 1, and sometimes they will set. If they're going to sit him, they're more likely to set him left on left. It's just that Yelich is not that great. What's Tyler Anderson's splits? See what the bat has to say about that. So I feel like, okay, so it's a small split. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. It's not a significant. It's not super wide where like Anderson's going to lock down on lefties. They even push back Rowdy to the 9 spot. Luke Voigt Voigt's another one of those guys that like you think he's got a ton of power, but you look at the numbers and it's like his power is not great. Not these days anymore. And we were looking at this the other day. His ISO versus lefties. So you think he should smash 187 plate appearances, and it's 87. That's really bad. It's really, really red on the plate IQ. That's not good.
From back to last season.
Yes.
And
yeah.
How many at-bats? Because he didn't get much. He was at San Diego. He wasn't getting much playing time, right?
187 at bats versus lefties.
Yeah.
I mean, about a third of a season if you're playing every single day, which he wasn't. But he was getting premium at bats. He was getting his at bats versus lefties mostly, I imagine. And he couldn't do anything with them.
I would go on a limb and say if he's healthier this season, that he'll perform much better than that.
I would hope so, or he's just going to be out of the league. But one of those two things are going to happen.
No,
he can't stick around.
The Chris Davis, where the contract where he was just playing for.
You're talking Chris Davis, Baltimore, yeah.
Remember how many slates we had to do we play a min-priced cleanup Chris Davis, who's the absolute worst hitter in baseball?
It was weird because both Chris Davises got zapped. Like they both got terrible around the same time. One significantly more terrible, right? But I think Chris Davis from Baltimore is still getting paid, if I'm not mistaken. Good for him. Good for his agent. David wants to know, would you rather play Brousseau or Voigt? That's not a question for me because I don't think I'm playing either.
Brousseau's been hitting the ball better so far, but I think they're both pretty similar plays. Yeah, but then Izzy made a good point though. They do it. Rowdy is in the lineup, right? The lefty there, so you don't have to worry about him.
You're talking like a pinch hit thought process.
Yeah, but there's still things they could do. But I think that's more of the sign. They made. What does Carty have his pinch hit risk at? Let's take a look.
You're talking about Voigt.
Voigt, yeah.
Let's see. I have to jump back to. I know Brousseau is like 50%.
9% for Voigt. So yeah, go with Voigt. But I mean, Brousseau probably will homer right off the bat. Batting clean.
I mean, not probably. He can. He's got some power, not a ton, but he's got some.
It's usually how
the guy's most likely. Yeah, I mean but the thing is, you only remember it. Like you only remember like the bad beats you lose, right? You don't remember the time where you win and you probably shouldn't have. It's the same sort of concept. You only remember coincidences.
Never happened. When I win, it's because I'm a genius.
Like my favorite thing that people do, like football fans, they go like, yeah, sure, we were 9-8 last year, but we should have won this game, and this game, so we should have been 12-5. But they forget the 3 games they won that they should have lost, and then 9-8 was correct because you got lucky 3 times, you got unlucky 3 times. But that's how fandom works, and that's how memory works sometimes. We're gonna play a stack game for the next 7 or 8 minutes, unless you want to give people some homers. They like homers. Who's going yard? Be ambitious. Give me some and players in Milwaukee, players in Coors, wherever you want to go. 3 guys, 3 different price tiers.
I have to admit I hate this game, just like Cheese does too. But I will give some. I will say, I think Willie Adames probably hits one.
Okay.
I'm gonna say just to ruffle your feathers a little bit here, Evan Longoria.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are two. You give me two, and then I want to say Kelnick.
Hunter Renfroe. I'll give you Hunter Renfroe.
Okay, I want to say
going
Kelnick,
hard.
but I'm telling you, I feel like Teoscar hits a revenge bomb right off the bat today.
Super angry. Teoscar Hernandez. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think they like. I don't know. I feel like he was traded away, right? It wasn't like he was a free agent. He was traded for what was he traded for? Oh no, I don't remember. It was a trade though. I think it doesn't matter. Cardinals lineup just came out. The Bar of Newt is leading off. Goldie, Gorman, Arenado, Contreras, Burleson, O'Neill, Donovan, and the Young. The Young betting at 9th now. He is super cheap still against Dustin May. Okay, so I got Renfroe homering, and you know what? Mike Zunino. Zunino's going to homer. There you go.
I like that. In ball, I mean, if he gets if he's not going to hit a single, I feel like he's going to either bomb or K or fly out.
Aaron wants to know Garcia or Tucker for DK cash or go lower in salary. I'm not playing DK cash today, but I would tell you it's like 100% chance I would not play Kyle Tucker in cash today. Like 5.6, like that doesn't make it. And there's got to be a better build. Who's Garcia? Is that Adalis?
Adalis?
Yeah. Were you on the Adalis Garcia night? I know here's your boy. When
the
he hit 3
Cuban
homers.
missile.
I mean, that's your nickname
know.
for him. I don't know if that's official or not.
It's official. I was not on him. You can't play Adalis Garcia for 5.6K, can you? Like
I don't understand the build. That doesn't make any. That's the money they have left. But I would start over or do like a 2v2 or a 3v3. They're not bad, but those aren't guys I would put in my cash lineup. Let me run some optimals and I'm curious who like the most popular guys popping up in the outfield happen to be. Pick one of these three. Oh boy, hold your nose. Jankowski, Boyle, or Ramos as a last piece. You have a preference amongst those three?
Henry Ramos.
Can you pick Henry? I think so. I'm just here to read names. Could you pick Henry Ramos out of a lineup of a bunch of baseball players?
Yes, I follow him.
You follow him?
Got called. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year. He was out in Korea in the Korean baseball organization. Yeah. He's a 31-year-old kind of journeyman outfielder. He was hitting pretty well in AAA. Had 2 homers, 3 steals. So, I don't know. I mean, for 2K, sure, why not? The guy I like a different bat better. I like their the Reds have that guy, the guy that's kind of a slugger steer, but he's
okay. I thought you were going to say Senzel. Are we done with Senzel? We're done with him, right?
I mean,
is it over?
It's rough sledding with him. I don't know if it's long. I don't know what's wrong with him. Like you'd think he'd be a lot better by this point than he is. I don't know if he's battling injuries or whatnot, but man, because he had a little bit of pop, he's got the speed. Yeah, it's pretty much over. But I would probably play Senzel over him, to be honest.
Alex in chat. Alex is really sharp, but he's got a question for you. Giolito and Trout versus Nola and Kwan. Oof. I would. Oh man, I don't know if he's like intentionally trying to trip me up. That's a for real question. Small tournament too, not a large field tournament. You said you thought Giolito was interesting. I know that was kind of the price on Yahoo. Giolito, Trout versus Nola and Kwan. Your thoughts?
Gio, baby, and the best hitter in baseball, right?
One of them. I wish Nola was in better form, and yeah, that's a tough question. I'm glad I'm not answering it. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. By the way, most popular outfielders. It's actually nobody's getting a ton of ownership, right? 39%, the most. This is for quote unquote optimal lineups on DK. Lourdes Gurriel, 39%. Taylor Ward leading off there for the Angels on the road, 37%. Manny Margot. How much is Manny Margot? He must be like crazy cheap. He's 2.5. Okay. Jarren Duran for your Boston Red Sox. Will Brennan. Esteury Ruiz. We're we're spending money elsewhere. According to Optimals, you're not really spending up. It's just interesting to note, maybe spend up in the outfield because that could be a little bit
So
difference
and
maker tonight.
so are you getting Framber for an SP2?
Framber and DeGrom. Let me see what we're getting here.
So let's
53% Framber, 44 Manoah. It's those three, and then the next one's Noah at 27. But it's focusing on DeGrom and Framber with Manoah right behind him.
I mean, you can make a nice cash lineup with Manoah.
Yeah, you got four Diamondbacks or 5 Diamondbacks.
You can get
Christian Walker. We didn't mention him, but like he's like the first. He's too cheap on DK. Like
Marte, Rivera's cheap. You get for catcher, you can plug in Moreno. You can play Gurriel.
Yeah, catcher-wise, we're getting Contreras. That's William Contreras, Milwaukee Contreras at 40%. And Will Smith is 27%. What is his price? Is he cheap?
I would probably play Contreras. No, I don't think Will Smith's not going to be cheap, right?
No discount for Will Smith. 5K on DK. We're assuming he comes back tonight. 3.6 on Fanduel, still, playable, but not necessarily optimal. Where do you have Arizona, by the way, as far as stack wise? 1 through 5, and understanding all the variables of ownership and salary. 1 being you hate it, 5 being you love it, 3 you're kind of wishy-washy, and you're not really sure where you're going to land.
1.
All right.
5.
Well, who's your 5?
No. 5 is the 5. Sorry, I have it.
5, you love it.
Ranked stack. Yeah, I love it. So
okay.
5.
Any umpire data that we have? I don't think. Let's see.
There's no extreme pitcher. There's only just pitchers. There's nothing of the extreme. Let me see if there's extreme hitters anywhere. No extremes tonight.
No official umpire just yet for St. Louis and the Dodgers. So I guess that could change. And new series, we always say this, but it's always kind of pending because sometimes the umpires swap at the last second. Let's see. I'm playing Giolito, hoping Tampa Bay flops tonight. Yeah, I mean, you're playing Giolito mostly on Yahoo, mostly because you're getting a significant discount. Yes, not because he's. Yeah. Okay.
But I also believe in his. I also believe in his talent.
Yeah.
And it's just
all right.
He's just way too cheap for the talent. So I'll go after the Rays at this one time.
We have cheap.
They can't do this every single slate.
You got that the Breaking Bad, Pinkman can't keep getting away with it. Tampa's they're getting away with it every single day. Basically, they've been smashing. Roth yesterday went on a whole diatribe. Somebody dared to besmirch the Rays, and Roth jumped in and corrected him and said this team was absolutely mollywhopping everybody.
Well, the guy said the Rays don't hit homers when they literally lead baseball in homers. That's just don't come with nonsense.
And what did you last night, Roth?
They probably homered. I don't watch.
They hit homers.
There you go.
They didn't stop. It was Brandon Lau, Paredes. They just didn't stop last night.
That's what they do.
Rainy,
they hit homers.
14 runs. I think they dropped the 14 spot. I want to say last night. They keep smashing baseballs. Roth, we're gonna get the update as far as they are. They're not very good. Just don't play them. Just don't play them, and it's gonna be okay. Unless tonight's they're due. Maybe not. We'll see. Hey, Carty, quick question for you. We talked about this earlier. Do you have data on this? First game in Coors, is that a real thing, or is that just something somebody made up and Mary believes it?
It's more one of those things. I told
Carty to do the math this offseason. But he was all like, "Oh, I have other things to do."
Yeah, it's not like
I think it's real.
The rules and it changed ballparks and everything else, But yeah, I would like to run the math because I think it's definitely possible. I haven't seen any math that supports it yet, though.
Do you have an official take, Dave, or you just want Carty to do the work?
Yeah, my official take is we simply don't know, and the people who say it's a thing have just made it up. So it's not a thing, but it's not a thing. I don't know that it's not a thing.
Yeah,
there are reasons I could understand why it could be. I actually that's one of those things. I do need someone like Derek who knows how to run all these numbers, to run them and see what it's done. All I know is last year I did the math for last year. I guess a very basic rudimentary ticket calculator and add up every game. And game 1 was actually the highest scoring game of any game in Coors Series last year. But that doesn't mean anything either. But if anything, it makes me think the people who say it's a thing don't know that it is because they don't. It might be. It might not be.
Yeah. If I were to guess, I would say there's something to it. But I think there is probably something to it. But again, don't know for sure at all.
The follow-up question is like a lot of people say the first game away from Coors too, which I guess that's another project. Carty's got a thing called the Blitz he's got to tend to as well. He's a busy man. He's got a lot of things to do, a lot of projects on his plate. One thing we do know is real, and Carty was tweeting it out very early, almost too early, possibly too early today, about the weather in Mexico City.
Very much too early.
And Roth will be interested too. Roth probably doesn't know. There's a game in Mexico City this weekend. Roth, what would you guess the over-under is for the Giants versus who they play in the Padres?
It's going to be like 12.5 because of the elevation or something ridiculous.
Carty?
Higher, Roth.
Oh, stop it. It's higher.
The bat is projecting 17.5.
Oh,
I put out a thread today because I didn't think any books had their lines out yet, and DraftKings had theirs out at 8.5. And within like a minute or two, people are like, DraftKings has it at 8.5. Like, go bet it now. I'm like, yes, I'm going to go bet it. By the time I get there, it's gone. Somehow they reacted to my thread. Either sharp people saw it and bet it, or they were watching or whatever, and it was gone. It was back up 30 minutes later at 15, and every book is at 15 now.
When they release a game the day before, the amount of money to move a line is like nothing. Absolutely. Like, so they'll adjust it really quick. Just like the night before for home run props and whatnot, they like, you bet it and it's like, you can move it yourself.
Yeah. So next time, Carty, we're going to need instead of the Twitter thread, we're going to need like the individual text to your friends.
Yeah.
So that we can get on that before the whole world takes it down.
A Discord group. But I have a question. Is this a series? They're doing a whole series or just one game?
Two games, I believe.
Is Blake Snell pitching?
No.
I would love to see if the bat still projected Blake Snell.
It would hate Blake Snell, and then he would go out and throw a shutout.
Sean Manaea is getting one of those games, I believe, and that is not. I don't think that's going to end well.
I haven't looked at the timing of them. Are we expecting these games to be on a main slate?
I think I looked and they're kind of at awkward times, so I don't know if they're going to be.
I think they would try to leave them off if they weren't right at the right time.
They probably didn't even know they were in Mexico, to be honest with you.
Oh, for sure. That had to be what happened there, right? With the 8.5.
No, but I'm saying like even for like DFS pricing, like you know how like they like
they won't change the pricing.
Like they'll just include it. They won't even. They're just gonna think it's a Padres home game or something.
All right, myself and Kirkwood. Anything else, Kirkwood, before we step aside for the Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time? You good to go?
Nope. Good luck.
All right, Roth. Let us know about the Mets. I'm not sure if you saw that note, Roth, as far as the beat writers. According to the beats for the Mets, they're saying that they have an extra incentive to get the game in. Did you read that by chance?
I didn't catch that. I mean, I know that the weather this weekend isn't good, so they want to get the game in. I can tell that, but you want to hit me with it?
Yeah, I'll drop the link for you in chat. And I don't know if it means anything or not, but and also it's for a way to get Max Scherzer to get one of these games too, which I guess they want Scherzer to pitch against Atlanta, theoretically. But we'll see. I'll drop the link for you. Let us know what's going on as far as the weather with the Mets. You got Derek Carty. You have Dave Potts. That is the FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time. It's starting right now.
Good stuff. Well, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time. Excellent work by Dean and Kirkwood. This is the show where we have two of the sharpest minds in the biz. They take you up to lock, and we'll take you through lock. And then you've got me, meteorologist Kevin Roth. I am your host and your weatherman for the day. Here's that tweet Dean was talking about. The Mets have significant incentive to wait this out. If they don't manage to play their first 3 games of the series, Max Scherzer will no longer be eligible to pitch in the finale. Is that significant incentive? I don't know. It's 162 games this season.
I don't know.
It's because it's against the Braves.
I mean, sure, but I don't know. Like, it seems like that's something that sounds great to say, but who knows if they're actually going to wait out a 9-hour rain delay because of that.
Yeah, and to be clear, there's no waiting out anything today. There is no – let's rewind here. We had 4 games that were kind of dicey. The first one was in Minnesota. That game got a late start. It's now playing. It's going to be fine. Early postponements in Washington and in Detroit. And now New York is that 4th game where we're kind of in limbo here. This night just gets wetter and uglier the longer you go. And right now it looks pretty good. And they are clearly saying and showing they're motivated to play this game. They want to play it. I think it's mostly because the rest of the weekend sucks and they might lose a game tomorrow or on Sunday. And it's not easy to do double headers. My official take is that they're going to play this game. They're going to start on time. I think they probably get more than half of the game in. And at that point, I have no idea what the hell's going to happen. It's going to rain a lot. I know that. I don't know if they're going to play all 9 and just be soaked and just be like dangerous, miserable soaked, or if they're going to just call it as soon as that rain starts to pick up. I can't even promise you that they get a half a game in, but my guess would be it's a half a game or so before it starts to get to that point where people are looking around like, what are we doing here, guys? So I am certainly more optimistic than I was this morning on it. Just the fact that they're even trying to play is a good sign. But I certainly cannot promise you 9. Cheese, Carty, is that good enough? Because that's the best I can do.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't think, well,
it's not fine, is it?
it's not.
So tricky.
It's
Like
really not, Rob.
Fried would be like the best cheap pitcher, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, you can't really use a pitcher, can you?
Here's what
And
they're not
even
going to do. They're
Peterson
not
at
going
his
to.
price is really interesting. So
And
it would be better if you could tell us absolutely 100% Roth. Like, why can't you do that?
I'm not saying you can't do it. I don't
No,
think.
why
that
can't
this
not
you
saying
tell
we
us
can.
100%?
We need
I
certainty,
get it.
Roth.
Yeah. I've said this before, and it bit me in the ass, and that was actually fairly recent. But I don't think this is a scenario where they're going to delay a game and then resume the game. Like, this is just eventually it gets to a point where it's just raining too hard, and at that point, it's done. It's done for the night. But I don't think it's likely that happens in the next 30 minutes or so. That they're motivated. They know it's going to rain. They're going to start playing in the rain. That's what it comes down to. I don't think pitcher is crazy. I really don't. I don't think I'd put all my eggs in that basket, especially for cash. But I don't think it's insane to say you could get 5+ innings out of a pitcher. In fact, I think you got a decent chance at getting. It might end up being that by like the 3rd or 4th inning. It might be that gif, and then I look like an ass, and you look like one for playing a pitcher. But I think you probably get 5+ innings, and in that case, pitcher not insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, 5-6 innings of Fried at this price is fine. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. It's not a guarantee, and it's gonna be raining.
I don't know, Roth. Look at the bottom of the screen. I'm hearing that it's a guarantee, so I'm locking and loading.
Yeah. There. Thank you for that, Alan. I appreciate that. It is the guarantee from me that was not from me. So slide into my DMs if things go wrong. I have apparently guaranteed it somewhere. Okay, that's all that's left here because that's the only weather game that remains. As we get closer, and we're 40 minutes away from first pitch, I suppose, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Roughly.
If I see anything change, I don't think anything's going to change in that time. I feel pretty confident. But if anything changes, or if I feel strongly about something, I will, jump in and let you guys know. But right now, my thought is that they're probably going to get a half inning before you have to really start worrying. And then at that point, maybe they go all 9 and they're just soaked. I don't know. I don't know when they're going to call it.
I'll just tell you what's driving me crazy already and why I'm already just distracted the whole show. Like,
yeah,
I have a bunch of lineups where Lucas Giolito was just the thing that fit. And I so much prefer Max Fried over Lucas Giolito, and he's $200 more. Now I don't know what to do. So
did
I might
Giolito, is he in that game, or did
no,
Giolito
he's in a different
get
game.
postponed, or what?
He's just like, if there were no rain, I would definitely like Fried ahead of Giolito.
Play him.
I'm moving around right now.
Yeah, I think you should play some of these guys. Like, if it's one of the better plays on the slate or the best play on the slate at that price, I think you should play some of these guys. That's what I got. It's going to bite me in the ass, isn't it? It is. I feel like it is. It's okay. It's cool. That's where I'm at. And it is no guarantee, but that's what I think. With that, let's talk about the slate in general. We can get back to the weather towards the end if we need to. But, Cheese, why don't you walk us through what's happening here? We had a lot of games. Now we have a few fewer games.
Yeah. Well, the first 2 postponements, or 2 of the first ones, were early. We're not on this slate. Yeah. So we're still going to have a 9 and or 10 gamer. And basically the overview is there's a couple of very obvious things on both sides. You got a Coors Field game, and you got Jacob deGrom with a couple of kind of obvious secondary pitchers. And then everything else is kind of playable, but not great. And I'm not sure where the chalk lands outside of a few Arizona bats and DeGrom and a couple other pitchers. So you can do a bunch of different things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay, that's that.
That's that.
Let's get to it. We're starting with DeGrom. You lock him in, and then are we done talking about pitcher?
Well, they both sides finally put his salary up enough that you can't quite just lock him in salary-wise. And it's not like he's not even likely to be the best points per dollar pitcher, but he's obviously likely to be the best raw points pitcher, probably by a lot.
For a while, he was priced with like every other quasi ace.
Right. Like he was down around 10K for too long.
Yeah,
but so
yeah.
he's over 11K on both sites. So, like on FanDuel, there's a lot of lineups you can't make with him. And on DK, if you use him, you either have to go with a cheap second pitcher or it locks you into a certain kind of build. So clearly the best pitcher in any format on any site, but it's not like this is not a, hey, he's going to be 80% owned kind of situation like we've seen before. So getting past the obvious DeGrom, I agree with where the projections have Valdez as ahead of Castillo for the expensive guy, but I do love Castillo in tournaments. Even against Toronto, the guy's just great. And I have some Valdez Castillo lineups on DK. But like on the FanDuel side, if you're not playing DeGrom, you really want to save more money than Valdez gets you. And that's where Max Fried becomes interesting. He's in that Atlanta Mets game. 9,400, I think he would be the next stop. Aaron Nola is super interesting. He has not looked like Aaron Nola to start the year, but like Alvarez is out of the lineup. It's not like a super scary Astros team right now. I think Nola is quite playable. I like him better on FanDuel, where like Alek Manoah is kind of the next talking point, where he's super cheap on DK, but priced up on FanDuel. I really don't like him on FanDuel. I think he'll be chalkier than we're showing on DK as a second pitcher. Like DeGrom, Manoah, I think is the chalk. And then, like I said, I have Lucas Giolito in there, but I'm switching some of that to Max Fried because I would certainly rather play Fried than Giolito. And then we have a $4,000 pitcher on DraftKings, and he's in Oakland against the Reds.
Oh, I love it.
And we don't have any idea. If you remember when we were all locked in our house with all the toilet paper at 3:30 in the morning, you probably remember Drew Rosinski from the KBO. He was pretty good in the KBO. He's probably better than a 4K pitcher, but like there's not some great play. Like this is only if you just desperately need the salary and you just hope, hey, he gets you 10 points and none of the aces other than DeGrom have a ceiling game.
Okay, very good.
He's
Carty,
also
get
not
your
quite.
takes?
Yeah, he's not really stretched out. He'll be able to go like 85 or 90 pitches.
Yeah, he threw 72 in his last rehab. So
Yeah.
But so this is just hey, he's 4K and you can do whatever you want, but don't expect some thrilling game out of him.
Okay, very good. Carty, want to get your take here on what you're doing with pitchers, what the Bat and the Bat X thinks. But first, a couple quick notes. One, this show is free, believe it or not. That's two-time millionaire winner Dave Potts. That's Derek Carty, CEO, creator of the Bat and the Bat X. And it's free content, and all we ask is that you hit that thumbs up. So please do. The more thumbs up we get, hopefully the longer we can keep it for free. I know there's a lot of folks watching here interested in weather updates and things like that. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up for us. We do this every single day, 7 days a week, sometimes multiple times a day. Also, big shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you are in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Big thanks to our sponsor. 200 likes or no more weather updates today. I'm going to start like setting a minimum threshold.
That's a way to get
Carty,
the
let's
like.
talk. That'll get the likes up. Carty, let's talk about what you're thinking here with pitcher. Usually, I feel like you love a 4K pitcher, but let's start at the top and talk about DeGrom and work our way down.
Yeah, so DeGrom's the top guy. He's in a tier among himself in terms of everything in terms of talent level. He's better than every pitcher in baseball by like a ridiculous amount. Tonight, he's better than everyone else by a lot. Like Cheese said, though, his price is up. It's not like you need to lock this guy in tournaments, especially because the bat is projecting 60% ownership on DraftKings and 40% on Fanduel, which is very high for a pitcher. But he is the top guy in cash games. You're absolutely playing him on both sites. He's only one start removed from an injury, so he's probably going to be limited to like 95 or 100. I mean, theoretically, he could go longer because he's DeGrom, but like they're going to be careful with him this year. They want to keep him healthy. If he gets, I mean, he could have went deeper last start and they just pulled him at 80 because that's just what they're going to do with him this year. So in GBPs, you can absolutely fade him. Hope he gives up a couple runs, gets pulled after 5 innings with 15 points. Like that's well within the realm of possibility here for him. If we're okay with the Atlanta game, or I guess it's in New York, whatever, Max Fried is the guy you'd want to pair him with on DraftKings. Obviously, there's risk to that. If you can't do Fried, I think you probably just spend up to Framber and you just save a little more on bats. Outside of that, though, if you're risking the Atlanta game, David Peterson at 7.2K is a really nice value because he hasn't been like great this year, but he's had some tough matchups. He's a very good pitcher, very underrated pitcher. He's in a tough matchup tonight, so I think he's going to kind of go overlooked a little bit. But the price is right. He'll be fairly low owned. I like Peterson a lot as a tournament play. Cheese mentioned Nola, who hasn't looked good this year, but Nola is going to be fine. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And this Houston lineup, like if you haven't looked at what Houston's rolling out there tonight, guys, take a look. They have like 3 major league caliber hitters in the lineup and like 6 guys that you've probably never heard of in your life because that's what Houston is these days. And so Nola's really interesting. If you're looking for kind of that cheap guy, if you're not doing the Fried or the Peterson thing, I know Cheese mentioned Giolito, who I think is fine. I probably prefer Alek Manoah. On DraftKings, he's 6'9". On FanDuel, he is more expensive at 9.8. But I mean, I don't really think there is like a cheap guy on FanDuel tonight that's viable. So, you're kind of just mixing and matching. They're all around 9K. So it's probably, like Nola and Manoah and Giolito, and like they're all fine, I guess, if you're not doing free.
Is Dustin May in that mix? We've got a question. FanDuel is 9-1.
Yeah, Dustin May is definitely in that mix. The bat has him closer to Giolito than it does to Manoah, who it likes quite a bit more than both of them. But Manoah's another guy who hasn't looked great this year. People are going to want to avoid him probably a little bit, but the price is way too cheap. So that's pitching. I don't think I'm messing with the 4K guy. You can do it, but it's a bad matchup. I'm looking at the wrong thing. It is a good matchup, but he's not very good probably. And the leash is going to be short. So I don't know what kind of upside he really has. Maybe he gets you. I mean, I guess if he got you 15 points at 4K, you'd probably be pretty happy. So maybe you can throw him in the mix, but I don't think his ceiling is much beyond that.
Yeah. I just want to throw in, if you desperately need a cheap pitcher on FanDuel, which you honestly don't, Clark Schmidt, I think, would be that guy. But like you can't even really use all that salary. So I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Guys, that is pitching. We got to talk about some of the bats, some of the hitters. We like to talk stacks first, and then we're going to go position by position, and then hang out even longer because we're going to take your individual questions, try to get as many questions done as we can before lock. But Carty, let's start with the stacks. I have been only paying attention to weather. I have no idea what the chalk stack is, but I guess we got Colorado, so we should probably start there.
Yeah, the chalk stack is going to be Arizona. Cheese kind of alluded to it at the top of the show. Like, they're going to get a lot of ownership. And then after that, I think it's going to be very spread out. So Arizona's great, but they're certainly not like so much better than everyone else that they deserve to be this much higher owned. You can play him if you want, especially if you're doing some contrarian weird pitcher thing, play him with David Peterson or play him with, whatever. But otherwise, you have a bunch of other teams, and I don't think you have to get too crazy with it. The next teams that the bat likes are the Rays, the Guardians, the Rockies, the Cardinals, a handful of others. And, I think that's kind of all you need to do. I don't think this is the night where you're going to like stack against one of the popular pitchers. I don't think this is the slate for that type of thing.
Okay. I'm just watching the rain about to start. The light rain about to begin in New York here in the next like 20 minutes or so. And then it'll just keep going. And then it'll get a little heavier. Cheese, what say you as far as the stacks and the bats go?
Yeah, same group of teams that Carty mentioned, with Arizona's kind of the only chalk. And then the other two teams that I like quite a bit are the Dodgers and the Brewers.
Okay, very good. Let's go position by position. Start us off with a little catcher talk. Cheese, you can have the honor, good sir.
So one thing about this slate is, I believe, unless it just came up, the one lineup we're waiting on is the Dodgers. Will Smith is at least probably back tonight. And he is not a necessary spend. Like, you wouldn't play him in cash games. I think you're just playing really William Contreras and Moreno for Arizona is kind of the whole pool. And then in tournaments, I like either going up to Will Smith if he's in the lineup or going down to Shea Langelier.
Did you say that again?
Shea Langelier.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And of course, Diaz for Colorado is of course fine. But yeah, really like the brothers Contreras, the two guys in Coors, and Will Smith is kind of everything until you get to the Frenchman at 3,200.
He's not French, and it's Langoliers, but it's just so much more fun that way. Carty, what are you doing a catcher?
I'm piecing together a bit of a pattern. Cheese loves to think that guys are French. I remember when Dinelson Lamet came up. He was calling him Dinelson Lamet.
It's just everything's more fun with a French accent, so you can't really blame
it. Really is.
And as it turns out, there's not a ton of professional baseball players from France.
Right.
But I'm really rooting for it.
Yeah.
I just
France was French. It's not.
I decided to talk about French names because there's nothing more to talk about a catcher. Cheese pretty much nailed it.
Okay, great. Then take us to first base then.
So Christian Walker is always kind of too cheap on the sites. And tonight he's in Coors and they decided, let's just keep him at the same price. Basically, we don't need to make him expensive. So he's the top first baseman on the slate, unless you count Ohtani on DraftKings, who's more of an outfielder. And he's 3.8K on DraftKings. He's 3.4 on Fanduel. Like he's your guy. You play him. I guess on Fanduel, if you had to save some salary, you have Josh Naylor at 2.7 in a good spot in Boston. Great park, platoon advantage, hitting cleanup. But otherwise, you don't really need to overthink it. In GPPs, there's plenty of other guys that project well. You have Freddie Freeman, you have Goldschmidt, you have Crone. But you have Yandy Diaz certainly in your Rays stacks, which I was on last night and I'm still on because the Rays are in this amazing park. It's such a good park upgrade and another pitcher who can give up home runs. But yeah, that's first base. You don't need to really get cute with it, I don't think.
Okay. I feel like Cheese is in full agreement, but I'd like his take.
Yeah, there's not too much to say about it. I mean, like on DK in particular, like the Christian Walker price is just silly. And I have to think his ownership on DK specifically is going to be more like 30% rather than 15. Just it's so cheap. I do think it's a little more tempting to go other ways on FanDuel, where like Freeman's only $100 more, Crone's $100 less. I also like the Josh Naylor thing for some savings. Nate Lowe is kind of a random guy I'm throwing in tournaments as well. But yeah, it just kind of is what it is.
Okay, second base, Cheese. And by the way, if you're waiting and watching and you want weather updates, once we go around the horn, I will give one final update on New York. To be quite frank, I don't see anything that is going to be, shocking or jarring. Otherwise, I would have cut in. But another weather update coming in like 10 minutes or so. Jeez.
If we get enough likes.
If we get enough, that's right. We need 500 likes or else I won't do it. I'm kidding. I'm going to do it. It's fine.
Second base is actually a little stronger tonight because Ketel Marte is in Coors, and he's kind of the chalk, the cash game play. On FanDuel, you have Mookie Betts. On DK, you have Max Muncy, if you like my Dodgers thing. You got Brandon Lau. Ryan McMahon is both second and third on both sites and pretty cheap on FanDuel. Andres Jimenez in your Cleveland stacks. Gorman is kind of a one-off. It's really, not a bad position today. So I don't think you have to play Marte in tournaments, although certainly he's the top guy.
Okay, Carty, second base.
Basically that. In cash, you have to play Marte or you're bad at DFS. But in tournaments, you certainly don't have to. The Dodgers thing is good. The Rays thing is good. Like Brandon Lyle's great. And I like Jimenez a lot. I like Cleveland stacks, and he should be a part of that.
Okay, take me to third, Carty.
Jose Ramirez is the top guy. Again, I like Cleveland stacks. It's a really great park for them and one of the weaker-ish pitchers on the slate. He's expensive, though. You're not paying up for him in cash, but certainly in GPPs. I love Ramirez as one-off. I love him in those stacks. You have Evan Longoria, who after Jose Ramirez is projecting as the next best player on the slate. And
Amazing.
like most of the Diamondbacks, he's too cheap. He's 4K on DraftKings. He's 3.2 on Fanduel. You don't really need to do much more than that. Unless on DraftKings, you want to go down to another Arizona bet and save money because you have Emmanuel Rivera and he's 2.6K and he's hitting second for Arizona tonight. So like in cash, it's play basically max out Arizona. And then at a few positions, you're finding something else. But that does give you a lot of room to get different in GPPs. You know, McMahon in your Rocky stacks, Yandy Diaz in your Tampa Bay stacks. Like that's the thing. And Devers as a one-off, even though he's against Bieber, I think Devers is probably one of the best GPP plays on this slate because no one's going to want to play him against Bieber, but he's so good and he's in one of the best environments and his ownership's going to be so low.
Very nice. Okay, Cheese, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, so those are pretty much the names. I will tell you what I think is the ideal strategy tonight if you like chalk Arizona. Any Arizona stack, a full 5-man stack without a third baseman is automatically different because it's pretty hard to want to play that stack without either their number 5 hitter, who everyone's heard of, or a really cheap number 2 hitter. So just do a 5-man Arizona stack with Jose Ramirez, and you're playing all chalk, and yet your lineup's different and amazing. Moving on.
Moving on.
I really have no other names to give you. I mean, that's all of them.
Okay, can you go to shortstop? Hang on, I have like horrible something in my ears. Let me stop this. But Cheese, keep going.
Yeah, horrible something in the ears is no good. It's better than horrible something in the eyes, but it's still not fantastic.
It's like, it was like a YouTube ad. I got it. When you have, you've got like 20 things up, and I'm trying to figure out which one to close out.
I understand. Okay, shortstop. Again, different between the sites because Mookie Betts is shortstop on DK. My favorite play by far, honestly, my favorite play on the whole slate is Willy Adames. He's only 3K on FanDuel. He's a little harder to fit on DK, but still, I just love him immensely. I have way too much Willy Adames, although there's no such thing. But, Wander Franco is certainly good. Ahmed Rosario is certainly good. Everything else kind of isn't very good, and it's more you're just putting something in a stack because it's cheap. Like it's a shortstop. It's a top-heavy position, but it thins out pretty quick. So if I'm not playing one of those top guys, I'm just going in a stack.
Okay. Greg says, am I crazy to not like Adames? No, you're crazy to – wait, am I crazy to like Adames? No, you're crazy to not like Adames. Yeah. You should like Adames.
The bat Adames has the top shortstop on the slate as well. He's Cheese's favorite. He's the bat's favorite. On FanDuel, he's 3K. So he's your cash guy there. On DraftKings, you definitely don't have to pay 5-6 for him. But if you're not paying up for him, you probably are just going down to something really cheap like Nick Ahmed in Coors or Alan Trejo on the Rocky side or Paul DeYoung for 2.2K or just something like that. And then obviously in your stacks, Franco, Ahmed Rosario, those type of guys are great.
But I think it would be great if we actually did say to Greg, though, that, Greg, you are crazy to like Adames. However, he's the best play on the slate.
Yeah,
but good timing on the question.
I got this random comment earlier that made me laugh. Someone said, Steve said, Carty called me stupid on Twitter. I am bad at DFS though, so maybe he was right.
Here's the thing. That was going to be a well-deserved calling you stupid because I don't just call people stupid on Twitter unless they're being a jerk. So I don't know who you are, but I'd like to.
It's me.
Oh, well, you were probably being a jerk, Steve.
No, it was the Blake Snell stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't directly at me. It was at everyone. So, but I was included.
All right. Hey, let's go. We got some outfield to talk about, and then I'll give a weather update. So whoever's Carty, take me to the outfield.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
And we want some home run picks after this too, and then we'll
Willie
get to your
Adames.
questions. Yeah. All right. Carty, outfield.
Yeah, so obviously there's going to be Coors guys to play in the outfield. You have Lourdes Gurriel hitting third for Arizona for 4-2 on DraftKings. You have Jurickson Profar, and you have Brenton, whatever a Brenton Doyle is for the Rockies. Brenton Doyle is 2K on Fanduel and is a great play. You have Chris Bryant for 3-4 on Fanduel. You have Alec Thomas, pretty cheap for Arizona on DraftKings. So really just kind of mix and match those guys. In terms of guys outside of Coors, the bet really likes Taylor Ward tonight. 4-3 on DraftKings, 2-9 on FanDuel. He's leading off for LA. He's just a really good hitter. Like, he's one of the best hitters in baseball that people don't realize is one of the best hitters in baseball. He's kind of like Brian Reynolds, who I guess is starting to get a little more attention. But Taylor Ward's really, really good. He's got the platoon advantage against a bad pitcher in Wade Miley. And with a closed roof, this is one of the better weather spots tonight. So I like Taylor Ward quite a bit. Dalton Varsho is always too cheap on FanDuel, 2-8 tonight. Even against Castillo, he's still going to be a good play. I've mentioned I like Cleveland stack, so like Stephen Kwan is definitely a good part of that. You have a cheap Asteria Ruiz on DraftKings, who's been, a good cheap play of late. I think he's still like 8 bases the other night in one game or something crazy like that because he's really fast. You have Jaron Duran, who's a pretty good cheap option. You have Will Brennan for Cleveland, who's a good cheap option. Manny Margot is a cheap guy to fill out your Rays stack. So there's really a lot in the outfield tonight, but you do want to make sure you're getting a good amount of Coors in there probably.
Okay, very good. Carty, your thoughts? Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield?
Yeah, I think on the Arizona side, I don't think the outfielders would get played as much as the infielders. Because people, Gurriel will get played, but people see lefty, and they don't like to play him. And then Carroll's expensive, and Thomas is at the bottom of the lineup. So I do like those guys. I think if you're in Colorado stacks, the outfielders will be more popular because they're batting 1, 2, 3. But I'm happy stacking either side of Coors without outfielders, and ideally having money left to play those Angels. Or most of the cheap names are the same ones that Derek mentioned. But I don't love the high-end spend-ups other than the Angels. I don't think anyone does. And if I'm playing Mookie Betts, I'm playing him in the infield. I get Kyle Tucker's the one guy I'll throw in there. I think Nola's going to be fine, but I will play a little Kyle Tucker just to get something different. That's kind of like the Devers thing at third base. Like, great hitter against a good pitcher, and no one's going to play him. Yeah, that's kind of about it.
Okay, great.
There's a good question in YouTube chat. Hold on. Matt Kirby in YouTube chat says, why doesn't Roth have some weather stuff on his green screen? Why don't you have a weather map with like a Sterling bomb cyclone or something behind you? Like, why did you have green? Such a missed opportunity.
We used to have like a little graphic, and then it would pop up radar. There you go. Now that's the storm coming from New York.
Screen, though.
Yeah. It's just, honestly, it's more trouble than it's worth when I can just talk and say what's happening. Speaking of which, let's do a quick weather report. It doesn't have to be relevant.
It just needs to look cool.
That's true. Steve, can you pop something up behind me? If you can, go for it. We'll see.
Can he? That would be amazing.
Probably. It's a green screen. That's
Steve can do a lot of things.
It's its entire job is for people to pop things up. Okay, here's your final weather report. Light rain just starting in New York. It's just comical to me that they're not postponing this game, but they're not. They're going to play in the rain. It's light now. My lean is that they get about a half a game in before you start questioning, like, what the hell are we doing out here? My guess is they go more than half a game. I don't know beyond that if they go 9 innings or if they go 5 innings. And quite frankly, even the half inning, even the half a game is not a guarantee. So anyways, I think if you want to play pitchers, okay, for a tournament, I would not put all my eggs in that basket. I would not do it in cash. Cheese, does that help at all?
Nope.
No.
Quite honestly,
Not even a
no.
little
That's
bit.
great. Yeah. That's just what it is. Like they probably shouldn't be playing this game, but they are, and they're going to play in the rain. And at some point they're probably going to be like, this is gross.
Yeah. Like because they're playing like they're playing.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe you get like even the weird thing from a couple days ago, maybe even been yesterday. I lose track of my days when Kyle Wright got 3 innings. He got 17 DK points in his 3 innings. Like, I'm not saying Max Fried's getting 17 points in 3 innings, but he was fine. Except this game, they're not going to come back and play, so they need to get 5 innings.
But he does have the potential, and someone brought this up in chat. You do have the potential for the 6-inning complete game shutout, where you get bonus points for the complete game and bonus points for the shutout. Right? That's a real thing, right? Jeez?
That is. They do give it the complete game if the game gets cut short.
So that is like legitimately on the table in this scenario if it plays out the way I think, which is, I mean, it's raining now, and eventually it likely gets too heavy. That's on the table. But also, if that happens in the 3rd inning, you will not get a complete game shutout, and it is certainly not out of the question. That's enough kind of dancing around the fact that I don't know what the hell they're going to do in New York. That's the bottom line. I do not have some sort of a magic ball on what they will decide or when they will decide it's too heavy. Let's talk some home run picks. Let's take a few QQs before lock. Carty, you get to start with a home run pick. Give me something chalky and something sneaky. Oh, and hit that like button if you're watching here. It's free content by 2 of the literal sharpest people in the business.
So, top home run guy today is Mike Trout. Willie Adames also projects really well, but it's a lot of Angels because it's just such a good spot for the righties. Like Trout, Ohtani, and Renfroe are 3 of the top 4 in the bet. I do think Will Smith, though, is probably pretty sneaky because first catcher is always kind of gross. We don't have the lineup yet, I don't think. I think a lot of people aren't going to play him just because they don't know he's going to be back, or there's still uncertainty leading up to lock, but he's the best hitting catcher in baseball, basically, or one of them. And he's in a good spot, and he's going to be, potentially overlooked.
Yeah. All right.
Another reason I love the Dodgers in general, lineups not out. Both Smith and Muncy have the big red not playing tag on DraftKings, and they're probably both going to play. And this team is totally different with Smith and Muncy. Like now they're back to, 5 big legit power bats at the top. So
right.
I like it. Home run picks. I will also play Willie Adames and Mike Trout for the home runs, and obviously Brent Rooker like every day.
Okay.
And you know what? Shea Langelier as well.
Yeah, there we go. My bomb cyclone call. Oui, senor. Senor. My bomb cyclone call. There it is. Hit the graphic. Longo Dongo hitting one out tonight. Lock it in, but not really. I'm just a weatherman. Don't lock that in.
I mean, that's a reasonable play too.
Yeah. Plus, like, how many times am I going to get to say that? Because I feel like not too many. Got to take advantage of them. Let's take some QQs. I'm hanging out in the RotoGrinders Discord. That's where you guys should be as well. If we catch up on some of the questions there, I'll jump into the YouTube chat also. Scrolling up just a wee bit, how about some A's stacks from CLT Go Blue? Brent Rooker is on quite the hot streak, or would that be stupid in a DKGPP? Jeez.
I mean, we're not going to like when you call it a hot streak, but the fact is the guy has power and he's still cheap. And he's facing a guy who has struck out barely more batters than me this year, honestly. Like, I am within 8% strikeout rate of Luis Sessa. So I do like Rooker tonight.
Did you say within 8%? Does he have an 8%?
Yeah, I think he's like 7 something. It's unbelievable. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
That's good.
He's almost as bad as Blake Snell. It's incredible.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Carty, Crone, McMahon, or Ward?
I mean, I think it's Christian Walker, honestly. I don't think there's another answer, but I guess it's Crone, maybe, or Ward.
All right. FanDuel Cash, Ward, or Blackman? Jeez.
Oh, man. I also love Ward tonight, but in Cash, I think you play Blackman.
Okay. On FanDuel, Carty, I'm stacking the Angels with Arizona. Would you go Marte or Shella or Ahmed and Ward?
Stacking Angels with Arizona, Marte or Shella or Ahmed Ward.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Ahmed Ward just because Arizona is going to be popular. Marte is going to be popular. And Ahmed Ward is probably pretty close to that anyway. So I'd probably go that way.
All right. Anthony says, hey, I'm late to the show. What 2 pitchers do we like? That kind of brings back, of course, we got DeGrom at the top, but then it brings back some of those next options we like are in that rain game and some of the risk. Cheese, can you give a super quick pitcher?
Yeah. If you're talking cash game, like probably Alek Manoah, unless you can afford Valdez. That's your DK cash picks. And then in tournaments, throw in Castillo, Max Fried, Nola, maybe Giolito if you don't want to play Fried.
Yeah. All right. DKGPP Carty, what are your thoughts on a full Cleveland stack?
I like it a lot.
Very good. DKG Cheese, on FanDuel, how would you rank the cheaper Dodgers, Hayward, Peralta, etc.? I would only play these guys in stacks, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we need to see a lineup because it's really – I don't know who's not going to play. I would say Hayward is the guy I would take. But really, on FanDuel, I think I would just want to stack the Dodgers with the top 5. But if you need one, I guess Hayward.
Okay. I've seen a few people asking about a Texas stack versus a bad Yankees SP. Either interest from either of you gents?
I have one Texas stack in 70-ish lineups, and I have a little more Nate Lowe than that. I wouldn't say Clark Schmidt is bad, and then it's a good bullpen. No. But they're it's viable.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer. Carty, this is a question from Alex. Any concern over Miley's batted ball profile? We've got a large sample. That's something you have seen or care to discuss. If not, we got 80 other questions.
If you could just elaborate on what you mean, Alex, I'm not sure.
There you go. All right. DK Cash, Carty, right back at you here. In the outfield, 2,600 or below.
Let me look at prices real quick. A lot of the guys I like are a little more expensive than that, I think. 2,600. Yeah, I guess it's like Manny Margot is going to be your guy.
Okay. Cheese, over to you from Swervo McMahon or Kaltenbach in cash.
I have no idea what that means, but
is that not a person?
McMahon certainly is.
Okay, so Kaltenbach is not a person.
Do not.
Is there a Vogelbach? Is there a?
No, but McMahon is a great cash play.
Is there a Ziegenbach? Delicious beer, but probably not what he's asking about. Carty, is there too much noise in 2023 park factors? Brewers Park seems super good home run environment. Was wondering if bouncy balls are pushing a couple more over the fence.
Yeah, park factors are super noisy. Even a full year of park factors are incredibly noisy. So you don't want to overreact to what they're doing over a couple weeks at the start of the year. Brewers Park is a pretty good park for home runs. It's not one of the best anymore, but it's pretty good. If there are bouncy balls this year, which, I mean, it seems like the balls or something is different, it's not just going to affect Brewers Park. It's going to affect everybody. So that's not really part of it, but yeah.
Okay. All right. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Profar or Blackman, and then Longo, Dongo, or Gurriel.
Blackman and Gurriel.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, last piece, 2,900. Carty, would you rather have Quan, Ward, or Ruiz?
Quan, Ward, or Ruiz? I'd take Ward for sure.
Very good. DKGPP, Cheese, Seattle lefties against a chalky Manoah. You get what's the word, Cheese?
I do not know what Langelier. What I don't know what L word you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, lefties against Manoah are viable just in general. Like he's pretty splitsy. The problem is it's Kelnick and then Raleigh, and then that's kind of like the rest of the Mariners you want are righties. So I don't mind a stack, but mostly probably just a little Kelnick and maybe Raleigh.
Okay, very good.
I don't think
Alex. Yeah, Alex kind of chiming back in that Miley is a big time ground baller. No, so this goes back to his batted ball profile.
Oh yeah, I mean he's definitely a ground ball guy. This year it's been down. I'd want to look into his profile a little bit, but the bat accounts for that. He's still a guy who's going to give up a lot of contact, and it's still a really good spot for the other guys. Not necessarily because they're like huge home run bets, but I I mean, I guess they are kind of huge home run bets today. But that's more just because they're good. They have the platoon advantage. It's a good park for home runs. It's some of the best weather. And Miley allows a lot of contact. So
every single one of those righties is a fly ball hitter.
Yeah, that too.
Like
They're just
Trout
guys
loves-
that got good home runs to begin with, and they got the platoon
like-
advantage against a weak pitcher.
Yeah. Jeff says, so are we really doing Fried? That's in the New York game?
Mm-hmm.
I really think I think the fact that they're playing means they know it's going to rain. I think they're going to get a half a game. Like, I sure as hell can't promise that, but that's my lean. I think they get half a game or more, like, half a game or more, potentially 9 innings. It's not out of the question. But man, it's going to be so sloppy. It'd be, anyways. Cheese, straight up, would you play Outman over Rooker, who could catch some steam? FanDuel?
Yeah, I would play Outman over Rooker. Yeah.
Very good. DK Cash, Carty, Fraley, or Rooker?
I don't love either. I guess it's Rooker, but there's better guys for cash at that price point.
Okay, here's a great question. Your favorite low-owned stack in a FanDuel GPP? Cheese, your favorite low-owned stack?
Dodgers.
I knew you were going to say Dodgers. Carty,
Not
say
even
something
close.
other than Dodgers. It's not even close?
Not with ownership factored in. I think nobody's playing Smith and Muncy on FanDuel at those prices.
Okay. Carty, you got a favorite low-owned stack on FanDuel?
I mean, outside of Arizona, I don't think anyone's going to be that popular. So I think it's probably like the Rays or the Guardians or the Cardinals.
thought you were gonna pick the
around
Rays.
it looks like.
Very good. I assume lock is in 1 minute. Is that a solid assumption?
If they took the Washington game off, then it's actually 7:07 when the first actual game starts.
Okay, got a few extra minutes there.
The old 7:07 that you like so much.
Just because that makes sense. 7:07.
It's in Canada, so that's the same as 7:05.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I would love to be able to tweet an update, but here I am. I cannot. Can anyone take these questions? DK single entry, Bilal and Ramirez, the Rays version, or Drury and Renfroe? So, Carty, I'll single you out here. Lau and Ramirez, or Drury and Renfroe?
Lau Ramirez or Drew.
Lau and Rays Ramirez, or Drury and Renfroe?
I'd go Lau Ramirez.
Very good. FanDuel Cash, last man in. Cheese is coming to you. McMahon or Crone?
Crone.
All right. I'm just going to quietly type an update. It'll be awkward. It's fine. Don't mind me, guys.
Yeah.
We
never do.
Yes. Let me scroll up. Maybe there's a question we missed. Is Stuart Fairchild any good? Is that a real person would be my first question.
That is a real person. He's on the Reds. He's not good. And I think there was a follow-up about his pinch hit risk, which is that says, oh wait, no, I must be looking.
I think he's okay to stay in the game now but like originally he was going to be batting second facing a lefty. And so there was a little interest to him, but like batting 8th for the Reds with 30% strikeouts, like
yeah, that's a no.
Okay. There we go. That was my weird quietness while I was trying to get a tweet out. All right. Honest opinion on Rakinski. I feel like people are just making up names. Rakinski?
That's the 4K guy.
Oh, okay. The honest opinion is we don't really know, but we don't think he's going to be very good.
But honest opinion is I think he gets 10 or 12 points on DK, which is technically worth 4K. It's just that you would need all the expensive bats to come through, which is never super likely. And I don't think you have to play expensive bats. So, we got a bunch of pitchers who just scored 30.
Yeah, the bat projects 13 for him, which makes him the best point per dollar pitcher on the slate. But, like everything else Cheese said.
Points per dollar at pitcher on this kind of slate is probably not the thing you need.
Yeah. Take it from someone who, like the 7 times that I've played MLB DFS, I've gone double cheap pitcher and paid up for all the bats. They never all hit the home runs. It has literally never happened that all the high bats hit the home
runs. Just for, clarity's sake, like I do have a handful of Rosinski lineups because there's just these lineups you can't make without. Like I keep talking about these Dodgers. Like you can't play the top 5 Dodgers without doing that, and several other things like any of the contrarian high-end teams. Like you can't play a top 5 St. Louis stack or anything. So yeah, I have a couple, but I don't expect him to. It's not because I think he's going to get 25 points.
Okay. Carty, no one mentioned the Seattle Bats. Did neither of you mention the Seattle Bats? And is that for a reason?
No, I think Seattle's certainly in play. Cheese talked about him before. Like Kelenic is definitely a good play tonight. There are some Seattle Bats that are options.
Okay. Very good. And then we'll get out of here on this question. Hey, make sure you hit a thumbs up before you bounce, by the way. Give us that thumbs up for all the free content, the weather updates, and taking all your questions. FanDuel Cheese is it's tough to play the top 5 due to pricing without sacrificing a punt. It's short. I believe we're getting back to the Dodgers here. So in that case, is it fine getting a guy like Hayward in your Dodger stack? Any interest in Peterson?
I mean, yes. I have a couple lineups where I had to play Hayward or Peralta to get a Dodger stack. So yeah, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I would rather finagle something else elsewhere. But if you can't, yeah, Hayward's fine.
Very good. CLT Go Blue. FanDuel Cash real quick, Carty. Blackman and McMahon or Profar Crone?
I mean, it's close. It's probably Blackman McMahon.
Okay. CLT Go Blue says, Roth, is this a real MLB player or legendary country musician who taught Cheese how to play guitar, Rylan Bannon? Cheese, were you mentored by him? A guy named Rylan Bannon.
He played the slide guitar as far as I recall, and I never did pick up the slide really well, but he was a sweet old man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the latter. I believe he was Cheese's mentor. I buy that story. With that, we are gonna get on out of here. So for Cheese, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.